Chapter 26. Is this what His Majesty ordered us to destroy? It looks vulnerable. Looking at the huge base station in front of him that was 10,000 meters high, Enza's face was full of disdain. After all, for a strong man at the Saint King level, let alone a behemoth of 10,000 meters, even a behemoth of billions of meters would be just a fragile thing that could be destroyed in an instant. Thinking of this, Enza took action and planned to destroy the base station in front of him with thunder. However, just as his attack landed on the base station, the expected scene of the base station being completely destroyed by his attack did not appear. Instead, a dim light of light blue appeared on the surface of the base station. After seeing this ray of light, the hidden man thought to himself that something was wrong, and then the formation attached to the base station absorbed the attack and bounced it back with 10 times the power, killing him directly. The same was true for the remaining 4 hidden players. After they attacked the base station, their attacks were absorbed by the formation arranged in the base station and then rebounded tenfold, killing them. At the moment the formation was activated, Wu Rolong in the Wu Chamber of Commerce sneered. I didn't expect Li Sukin to choose the most shameless method. But I didn't expect that my base station has a formation. Not to mention the Holy King, even the Supreme can't break it. Only the Quasi Emperor can break it. Thinking of this, Wu Rolong was also surprised. He didn't expect that the thing his father gave him was so terrifying and contained a formation. That's right. The formation arranged in the base station was given to Wu Rolong by Wu Hao when he came back. It was a portable formation made by Wu Hao. Although the coverage area was not large, it was still easy to protect a small base station. According to Wu Hao's plan, 10 base stations will be built throughout the southern domain. Only 10 base stations are needed to cover every area of the southern domain with 360-degree signal coverage. After all, many of the materials found in Profound Heaven World are much more advanced than those on Earth in the previous life, so it makes sense that the signal coverage is wider. At present, about 5 base stations have been built, and the software has been developed almost to the point where the next step is to prepare for the release of the mobile phone. Thinking of this, Wu Rolong ordered his men to hold a new product launch conference for the entire southern domain in 7 days. Today, the Wu Chamber of Commerce is a well-known entity not only in the Li dynasty, but also in the entire southern domain. Although it is just a war between the Wu Chamber of Commerce and the Li dynasty, it has already made other forces in the southern domain of similar size to the Li dynasty aware of the power of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, after the Wu Chamber of Commerce announced that it would hold a new product launch conference in 7 days, many forces also expressed their intention to participate. Almost at the same time, Li Sukin knew the moment his hidden man died, and his face became extremely gloomy. Although he knew that it was wrong for him to send his men to attack the base station of Wu Chamber of Commerce first, he still couldn't suppress his anger after knowing that all his hidden men were dead. Alas, I wonder if the spy who went to look for the Nameless Ranger has found him. At this moment, Li Sukin also remembered that he still had a secret agent looking for the Nameless Ranger. However, for some reason, the Nameless Ranger had not appeared during this period of time, and his secret agent had also disappeared. But what Li Sukin didn't know was that his hidden man had already found the Nameless Ranger and went to the central region. Soon, Li Sukin also received the news that Wu's Chamber of Commerce would hold a new product launch conference in 7 days. His expression suddenly became serious. After all, he had investigated so much but couldn't find out what the Wu's Chamber of Commerce was doing. Now he was finally going to know. How could he not be excited? Of course, Wu Rolong is not that stingy, so the invitations to the new product launch conference have already been sent to the Li dynasty. Wu Rolong, I want to see what you will release in 7 days. On the other hand, among the 3 great dynasties, the leaders of the 3 dynasties couldn't help but show some interest after receiving the invitation. Although the Wu Chamber of Commerce also opened in their dynasties, it did not take any action against the affiliated forces under their dynasties, so the 3 great dynasties did not care. However, now that he had received the invitation to the new product launch of the Wu Chamber of Commerce, he couldn't help but become a little interested. He wanted to know who this person was who could give Li Sukin such a headache. Oh, that's interesting. Who asked you to come to me? At the same time, Wu Hao was strolling on the street with Wu Hu, but he did not expect the scene around him to change suddenly. In just a breath, Wu Hao was taken away. Of course, Wu Hao could naturally sense the realm of the person who made the move, but he was only at the peak of the Saint King. As long as Wu Hao didn't want to, the other party would definitely not be able to take him away. It was just that Wu Hao was a little curious, so he let the other party take him away. The person who took Wu Hao away was none other than the hidden man who had been searching for Wu Hao for a long time. At this moment, the hidden man's expression showed a slight joy after seeing Wu Hao. After all, he had been searching for Wu Hao for so long, and now he finally found Wu Hao. How could he not be happy? As to why I was sure that Wu Hao was the legendary Nameless Ranger, it was because everyone who was rescued by the Nameless Ranger said that there was a 9-tailed fox lying on the Nameless Ranger's shoulder. It was because the fox was lying on Wu Hao's shoulder that I recognized him. Sir, I am from the Li dynasty. The Emperor of the Li dynasty intends to recruit you. I hope you can become a member of the Li dynasty. We can guarantee that you will be trained to the Supreme Realm. Anzi spoke without hesitation. Of course, all this was just empty talk in Wu Hao's view. As long as he agreed to follow him back to the Li dynasty would have 10,000 ways to make him work for their benefit. Furthermore, what the hell is the Li dynasty? They dared to attack his son before, so in Wu Hao's mind, the Li dynasty is already a destroyed dynasty. Of course, the main thing is whether it was destroyed by his son or by himself. After my wife becomes a saint and goes back with me, if my son has not yet destroyed the Li dynasty, it will not be too late for me to destroy the Li dynasty. Let's get off topic. The most important thing right now is to get rid of the hidden chess piece in front of us first. Wait a minute, I have something to say. Wu Hao interrupted the hidden player in front of him. Anzi was not angry because of Wu Hao's attitude, but spoke politely. What do you mean? Wu Hao leaned his head close to Anzi's ear and spoke. Do you know that I have a grudge against your Li dynasty? After hearing Wu Hao's words, Anzi's pupils suddenly shrank, and then he didn't know what happened. Because he had been killed by a slap from Wu Hao. What, my other hidden chess piece is gone too? After feeling that there were no more hidden cards in the central region, Li Sukin's heart finally died. Although he was a supreme powerhouse, in fact, even he did not have many hidden cards at the peak of the Saint King level, there were only 10 of them. Unexpectedly, 7 of them were gone in less than 10 years. Li Sukin was so angry that he almost vomited blood. But there was nothing he could do. It was because he had provoked someone he couldn't afford to offend. He had to force himself to swallow his anger. Time soon came to 7 days later, and the new product launch conference of Wu Chamber of Commerce was held as scheduled. Chapter 27. During these 7 days, Wu Rolong had already completed the arrangements for the new product launch conference. The software and other things have been debugged very well, and the pricing of the phone has also been decided. Mortals have their own configurations, and cultivators have their own configurations, so the prices will naturally be different. A mortal's cell phone costs only 10 low-grade spirit stones, and the currency used by mortals is copper coins. About 1,000 copper coins can be exchanged for 1 low-grade spirit stone, which means that a mortal can afford a cell phone in a year. The mobile phones sold to immortal cultivators are naturally more expensive. There are some that can carry formations, some that can withstand a full-strength attack from immortal cultivators of a certain level, etc. Anyway, there are many types and the prices are naturally different. Moreover, based on Wu Hao's ideas, Wu Rolong also produced 10 limited edition mobile phones, priced at 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones. Soon, it was the 7th day, and the Wu Chamber of Commerce had already arranged the venue for the press conference. It was not without press conferences in Profound Heaven World, but the things released were basically for mortals and cultivators, and they were basically separated, so it was rare to send invitations to so many people like Wu Rolong did. At the same time, outside the Wu Chamber of Commerce's press conference, leaders of various major forces also arrived one after another. In the southern domain of Profound Heaven World, the more powerful spheres of influence are the 4 emperors and 6 sects. The 4 emperors are the Li dynasty, the Divine Sovereign dynasty, the Invincible dynasty, and the Strong dynasty. The 6 sects are Raging Fire sect, Pa Shang sect, Rock sect, Wanri sect, Zhantian sect, and Huahu sect. Each of the 4 emperors and 6 sects has a quasi-emperor grade expert in charge, and the leaders of the forces are all supreme-level beings. In order to show their importance to the Wu Chamber of Commerce, all the leaders of the forces attended the press conference of the Wu Chamber of Commerce today. The first person to arrive was the Emperor of the Divine Sovereign Dynasty, Shen Huanyun, who was at the peak of his cultivation. Just after Shen Huanyun arrived at the scene, reporters from major newspapers in the southern domain outside saw this scene and couldn't help but record what happened here with their photo stones. After all, that was Shen Huanyun, one of the 4 emperors, and they had no chance to see him on a normal day. But before they could be shocked for too long, the leader of the undefeated dynasty, Zhang Ting, soon arrived. After seeing an acquaintance, Shen Wanyun couldn't help but smile and greet him. "Brother Zhang, long time no see." Among the four great dynasties, except for the Li dynasty which had not very good relations with the other three dynasties, the relations between the other three dynasties were still very good. So after seeing Shen Wanyun greeting him, Zhang Ting also smiled and replied. "Brother Shen, it's been a long time since we last met. The last time we met was during the competition between our four great dynasties." "Indeed, but I remember the next competition should be coming soon, right?" Shen Wanyun thought about it, then asked. Zhang Ting nodded. "Yes, the next Four Emperors tournament will begin in about 10 years. Just when Shen Wanyun was about to say something, Gao Keqiang, the emperor of the Qiangsheng dynasty, also arrived at the scene. "Brother Shen, Brother Zhang, long time no see." "Long time no see, Brother Gao." Shen Wanyun and Zhang Ting smiled and said. Just as the three were about to exchange pleasantries, an unpleasant voice came from not far away. "What are you three talking about? Would it be convenient for me to join?" Hearing this voice, the three of them frowned, and Gao Keqiang spoke first. "You two, it's getting late. I'll go in first." "Wait for me, let's go in together." Seeing Shen Wanyun and the other two going in together and not taking him seriously at all, Li Sukin's expression, which was not good to begin with, became even uglier. But soon, Li Sukin took a deep breath, calmed himself down, and then walked towards the press conference. After all, the most important thing today is to find out what Wu Rolong is going to do. As for the leaders of the three dynasties, their relationship was not good to begin with, so there is no need to make good relations with them now. Just after the four emperors arrived at the scene, people from the six sects also came to the scene one after another. Of course, only the leaders of the Zhantian sect, Huawu sect and Wan Ri sect came to the scene in person, while the great elders of the Lai Ri sect, Po Shang sect and Pan Chi sect came to the scene. The six sects have always been non-aggressive and rarely interact with the outside world except for accepting disciples. If Wu Rolong hadn't sent them an invitation, they might not have come. In the press conference, in addition to the four emperors and six sects, Wu Rolong also invited forces with supreme-level strongmen in charge, as well as the Southern Domain's famous Southern Domain Xiaoxian daily. The immortal cultivation world is not just a lot, it also has human relationships and social conventions, so it is not surprising that there is a daily report on immortal cultivation. Otherwise, there would be no distinction between the righteous Dao and the demon Dao. As the time came, Wu Rolong took a deep breath, then walked to the center of the stage, smiled and said to the invited guests below the stage. "Welcome everyone to the new product launch conference of our Wu's Chamber of Commerce today. Without further ado, let's get to the point. Today we will bring you a product that will change the entire profound heaven world." The moment the words fell, the guests below also became curious, especially the people from the four emperors and six sects. They were all curious about where Wu Rolong got the confidence to say that he brought a product that could change the entire profound heaven world. But when Wu Rolong took out the mobile phone, everyone's eyes became curious. Then after seeing Wu Rolong demonstrate and explain the functions of the mobile phone, everyone present couldn't help but breathe faster. If what Wu Rolong said is true, then this thing called a mobile phone may really have the power to change the entire profound heaven world. Well, of course such a great product has a price, so what is its price? Originally, its price was very high, but after I persuaded the top management of Wu's Chamber of Commerce overnight, we finally came up with a price that we all thought was suitable. Please look at the big screen. Plan. When the price came out, the leaders of the forces present all gasped. A treasure that could connect to other people's treasures in every place in the southern domain and could see other people's lives was actually so cheap, only 10 low-grade spirit stones. Of course, this is the mortal version. After releasing the mortal version, Wu Rolong immediately released the immortal cultivator version. After hearing that the immortal cultivator version also has the functions of saving lives and assisting cultivation, the leaders of all the forces present could no longer sit still. Especially Li Sukin, who was thinking that this technology must not be in the hands of the Wu Chamber of Commerce, but must be in the hands of his Li dynasty. As for the people from other forces, they did not have the same idea as Li Sukin. After all, if they used their brains, they would know that if the Wu Chamber of Commerce dared to release technology of this level, then there must be someone behind it, who might be a quasi-emperor grade or something else. In this situation, it is obviously much better to be on good terms with the Wu Chamber of Commerce than to be at enmity with it. Chapter 28. This must be President Wu, he is indeed a handsome man, is he married? What nonsense are you talking about? How could someone like President Wu be interested in someone from your invincible dynasty? President Wu, come to visit my strong dynasty. I will prepare 180 beautiful brides for you. Go to hell, President Wu is a pure love war god at first glance. President Wu, I have a daughter who is as beautiful as a flower. I wonder if President Wu could honor me by meeting her. Seeing the leaders of the three dynasties in front of him throwing olive branches to him crazily, Wu Rolong couldn't help but shudder. If his wife knew about it, he would have to kneel on the washboard when he returned. Thinking of this, Wu Rolong quickly refused. Please stop talking, I'm already married. Hearing that Wu Rolong was already married, Shen Wanyun and the others couldn't help but look lonely. Seeing their lonely looks, Wu Rolong couldn't bear it and sighed before speaking. Everyone, my Wu family still has many good men who are not married. If possible, I think I can introduce them to the good men of my Wu family. Hearing this, the eyes of Shen Wanyun and others couldn't help but light up. Although she couldn't marry Wu Rolong, if she could marry into the Wu family, it would also be possible to establish a good relationship with the Wu family. So soon Shen Wanyun and others agreed with a smile. But at this moment, Zhang Ting changed his mind and asked. By the way, President Wu, could you please sell me that limited edition phone in advance? Seeing that Zhang Ting had spoken, Shen Wanyun and Gao Qiqiang were not to be outdone. President Wu, give me one too. Me too. Wu Rolong naturally did not refuse. The limited edition itself was used to make friends with major forces. Shen Wanyun and others in front of him were obviously the forces that their Wu family needed to make friends with. It's just 100,000 high-grade spiritual stones, which is nothing to Shen Wanyun and others. It is worth using it to establish a good relationship with Wu Rolong. After all, although they are focused on cultivating immortals, they can also see that if the mobile phone in front of them is really released, the Wu Chamber of Commerce, as the publisher, will definitely gain great benefits. Maybe it could become the most powerful force in the entire southern domain, and even compete with the Four Holy Lands. Thinking of the Four Holy Lands, Shen Wanyun and the others couldn't help but feel heavy-hearted. Although they had quasi-emperors in their forces, in fact, they were no match for the Four Holy Lands. Only one of the Four Holy Lands needs to come out at random to sweep across the entire profound heaven world, because every Holy Land has the Emperor weapon. A quasi-emperor with the Emperor weapon is simply not an opponent of the same level as a quasi-emperor without the Emperor weapon. An early-stage quasi-emperor holding Emperor weapon can be invincible under the Great Emperor, which shows how terrifying Emperor weapon is. With the help of Wu Rolong, Shen Wanyun and others quickly learned how to use the mobile phone, and for a moment, a look of curiosity appeared on their faces. As for mobile phones, a phone card is automatically bound to them when they are sold. Although there are only 5 base stations now, they can cover most of the southern domain. We just need to wait until the next 5 base stations are completed for the signal to cover the entire southern domain. Soon, Shen Wanyun and others also left one after another. Although the reporters from southern domain Xiaoxian Daily wanted to interview Wu Rolong pushed Wu Qianqan out. Just when Wu Rolong was about to take a break, he heard a voice slowly approaching. Wu Rolong, let's talk. Wu Rolong turned around and saw Li Sukan standing not far away with a gloomy expression on his face. Wu Rolong just sneered and then refused directly. Li Sukan, I don't think there's anything to talk about between us, so there's no need. After saying this, Wu Rolong was about to leave, but Li Sukan continued. Wu Rolong, do you think your Wu family can protect this kind of thing after it is released? This thing is not something your Wu family can protect. Hearing this, Wu Rolong paused slightly, but did not turn around, with a hint of amusement in his tone. So what you mean is that you want my Wu Chamber of Commerce to hand over this technology to your Li dynasty? No, that's not what I meant. What I meant was that if our Li dynasty invests in the company, we will split the profits 50-50. If the Wu Chamber of Commerce encounters danger, our Li dynasty will definitely do our best to help your Wu Chamber of Commerce. Although his words seemed to put the Li dynasty and the Wu Chamber of Commerce on the same level, in fact, Wu Rolong could hear the arrogance in Li Sukan's tone. Wu Rolong didn't like this tone very much. Besides, what level was the Li dynasty? Was it qualified to protect the Wu family? So Wu Rolong refused almost without hesitation. I'm sorry, my Wu's Chamber of Commerce has no intention of letting anyone buy shares. If my Wu's Chamber of Commerce encounters danger, there is no need for your Li dynasty to take action. That's it. Wu Rolong left after saying this without even glancing at Li Sukin. Li Sukin's expression became even uglier, as it was obvious that he had not expected Wu Rolong to be so disrespectful to him. This also further strengthened his determination to take action against the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Of course, this time it was not a commercial war, but an all-out war. After all, if such a terrifying technology fell into the hands of their Li dynasty, Li Sukin was absolutely sure that he could elevate the entire Li dynasty to the same level as the four holy places within 10,000 years. On the other hand, Wu Rolong could naturally guess that with the release of the mobile phone, the entire southern domain and even the profound heaven world would cause an uproar. After all, for the people in the profound heaven world whose lives were extremely boring, the mobile phone was undoubtedly an epoch-making product. This is just like when mobile phones were first introduced in the past, people's greatest pleasure was having children, and then after mobile phones appeared, the greatest pleasure became watching Douyin. As the southern domain Immortal Cultivation Daily was reporting at full speed, the news soon spread to all parts of the southern domain, causing an uproar in the southern domain. After all, to them, that kind of thing was an immortal weapon that only immortal cultivators could use. Could mortals like them really use it? Of course, many people think that the Wu Chamber of Commerce is just making a fuss and will definitely not release the product when the time comes. However, Wu Rolong did not come out to explain. After all, the sale will start in 7 days, and everyone will know whether it is true or not by then. Today, the Wu Chamber of Commerce is considered a top chamber of commerce in the southern domain, so there are branches of the Wu Chamber of Commerce in various places in the southern domain. On the 7th day, the entrance of the Wu Chamber of Commerce was crowded with people, all of whom came for the so-called mobile phone. Chapter 29. Are you sure that this thing can really be made by the Wu Chamber of Commerce? At the same time, in the forbidden area of the Li dynasty, the 18 ancestors of the Li dynasty also knew what was happening outside, and asked Li Sukin in front of them. Li Sukin nodded quickly and said, "That's right, ancestor. If we leave the Wu Chamber of Commerce alone, it will probably threaten the status of our Li dynasty." The 18 ancestors were all shrewd men and could naturally discern the importance of this matter, but for now they still needed Li Tianran to speak before they could take action. After a long time, Li Tianran, who was lying in the coffin in the middle, finally spoke. "Since the Wu Chamber of Commerce is already the enemy of our Li dynasty, then we will not give the Wu Chamber of Commerce any chance to endanger our Li dynasty. So, take action. I will lead the team personally this time." Hearing Li Tianran's words, all the ancestors present couldn't help but be shocked. You know, Li Tianran is the oldest and most powerful ancestor present. It also means that if Li Tianran takes action this time, there will be no chance of survival. Li Sukin even tried to dissuade him. "You must not do that, old ancestor Tianran. You are the strongest person in our Li dynasty. If you were to be born, then our Li dynasty would probably be targeted by the other 3 dynasties. There are few quasi-emperors and even fewer at the peak of quasi-emperors. Li Tianran is one of them. In addition to Li Tianran, the Li dynasty has another quasi-emperor at the peak, named Li Siking. It is precisely because the Li dynasty has 2 quasi-emperors that it can sit firmly at the top of the 4 dynasties. Once it loses a quasi-emperor, it is likely that the Li dynasty will be targeted by the other 3 dynasties. But Li Tianran had already made up his mind. He looked at Li Siking and spoke slowly. "I will leave the Li dynasty to you. I once said that if there is a chance to make the Li dynasty reach the same level as the 4 holy lands, I will do it even at the cost of my life. Now is that time." After hearing Li Tianran's words, all the ancestors of the Li dynasty present fell silent. They were not as great as Li Tianran. All they were thinking about was how to survive, otherwise they would not have entered the coffin of rebirth. Unless there is a terrifying opportunity that allows them to break through to the great emperor, they will never be born. I will not reveal my identity during this operation. I will secretly eliminate all the people in the Wu Chamber of Commerce, leaving only Wu Rolong. If I fail, you must not seek revenge." Li Tianran said this with a determined look on his face, and the next second, he opened the coffin and stood up. Li Tianran's majestic body appeared in front of everyone present. Li Sukin was extremely moved when he saw this scene. He did not expect that ancestor Tianran would be willing to do this for their Li dynasty, so he shouted uncontrollably. "Farewell to the old ancestor Tianran. Natural fellow deist, take care." The other ancestors also looked at Li Tianran with heavy hearts and said that after all, if Li Tianran opened the coffin and walked out, it would mean that Li Tianran would not live long. As expected, within a few minutes after Li Tianran came out of the coffin, his breath became weak. This was normal, as Li Tianran was only a quasi-emperor at the peak and his lifespan was only 600,000 years. Relying on the magical effect of the coffin of the afterlife, Li Tianran was able to hold on for a full million years. Now that he has left the coffin of rebirth, Tiandao has naturally noticed the changes here, so he plundered back Li Tianran's extra lifespan. However, Li Tianran's expression remained unchanged. He was able to come out because he had thought about this ending and naturally he would not regret it. The next second, Li Tianran disappeared into the void and rushed towards the location of the Wu Chamber of Commerce under the cover of night. At the same time, in the Wu Chamber of Commerce, Wu Rolong had already anticipated that Li Sukin would definitely take action, so he asked the people in the headquarters to leave the headquarters in advance. When Yu Yangfeng and others left, they still had expressions of reluctance. "President, if the Li dynasty really dares to attack us, then wouldn't it be our fault if you were left here alone?" Chen Chukyang showed no hesitation and decided to stay. The same was true for Yu Yangfeng and Wang Zheyu, but they were still sent away by Wu Rolong. "You should go first. Given the nature of the Li dynasty, the cultivation level of the people coming here will not be lower than that of a quasi-emperor. If you stay here, you will just die." Although Wu Yangfeng and the other two have broken through to the middle stage of Saint King with the help of Wu Rolong, they are still no different from ordinary people if they face a quasi-emperor. Besides, I was able to defeat a Saint King last time. Do you think I will face the Li dynasty's quasi-emperor without any confidence? Hearing this, Wu Yangfeng and the others remembered that the spy sent by Li Sukin had died here at Wu Rolong's place. They also thought that if they stayed here, they would only become a burden to Wu Rolong. So without hesitating for too long, Wu Yangfeng and the others said to the president to be careful and then fled into the distance. On the other side, in the dark of the Wu Chamber of Commerce, 3 powerful quasi-emperors of the late stage had appeared at some point in time. It was obvious that they were all ancestors sent by the 3 great dynasties. Shen Wanyun and others could naturally foresee what Wu Rolong could foresee. So in order to do Wu Rolong a favor, Shen Wanyun and others spared no expense to invite a quasi-emperor late-stage level ancestor to come out of the mountain, waiting for the people of the Li dynasty to come over, and then rescue Wu Rolong from the hands of the Li dynasty. In this case, Wu Rolong would have to do them a favor. What they didn't expect was that all of this was under Wu Hao's watch. Interesting, I didn't expect that my Wu Chamber of Commerce would attract so much attention so quickly. Wu Hao hid in the vicinity of the Wu Chamber of Commerce and thought to himself that the difference in cultivation allowed him to easily spot the ancestors of the 3 dynasties, while the ancestors of the 3 dynasties could not find him at all. And in Wu Hao's perception, there was an aura of a quasi-emperor at the peak level rushing towards this side in the distance. He thought it should be someone from the Li dynasty. Should we just destroy the Li dynasty? Wu Hao secretly thought in his heart that destroying the Li dynasty was nothing to him now, but after just thinking about it, Wu Hao gave up the idea. After all, the Li dynasty had a grudge against his son, so naturally it should be his son who should destroy it. But by the time Wu Rolong reaches the level where he can destroy the Li dynasty, I'm afraid Wu Hao will be able to ascend to the upper realm. Chapter 30. Tell me, which quasi-emperor ancestor will the Li dynasty allow to come? In the dark, the quasi-emperor's late-stage ancestors from the 3 dynasties couldn't help but speculate, and these 3 ancestors were the Shen Zilei ancestor of the Divine Sovereign dynasty, the Zhan Qianzhong ancestor of the Invincible dynasty, and the Gao Zhanchao ancestor of the Qiangsheng dynasty. It's hard to say. After all, the foundation of the Li dynasty is more solid than that of our 3 major dynasties, so I don't know who it will be. Shen Zilei thought about it and said with a very serious expression. Zhan Qianzhong and the other 2 also nodded. You have to know that their 3 dynasties combined only have 30 quasi-emperor ancestors, while the Li dynasty alone has 18 quasi-emperor ancestors, which shows how powerful the Li dynasty is. So under normal circumstances, unless the 2 dynasties join forces, they will never be a match for the Li dynasty. When Gao Zhanchao was about to say something, he felt something and his expression became extremely solemn. Here we go. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure slowly emerged from the darkness and stood in front of Wu Rolong. When they saw that man's face, Shen Zilei and the other 2 couldn't help but be surprised. With the mask on, I can't tell who he is, but I can still feel that his realm has at least reached the peak of quasi-emperor, so it's either Li Tianran or Li Siking. Zhang Qianzhong took a deep breath, his expression was already very ugly. After all, they did not expect that the Li dynasty would be so generous as to directly send out an ancestor at the peak of the quasi-emperor level. You know, even their other 3 dynasties only have one ancestor at the peak of the quasi-emperor level each. If there is no danger of the dynasty being destroyed, they would never awaken the ancestor at the peak of the quasi-emperor level. And now that the Li dynasty has actually dispatched an ancestor at the peak of the quasi-emperor level, they naturally cannot help but become solemn. So what should we do now? Are we going to just watch Wu Rolong get into trouble? Gao Zanchao's eyes moved slightly and he asked. Shen Ziliai and Zhang Qianzhong took a deep breath before speaking. What are you afraid of? Have you sensed the other party's aura? He is extremely weak, which means that his lifespan is not long and his condition is not at its peak. In addition, we have 3 people, 3 against 1, which is enough to wear him down to death. After saying that, Shen Ziliai and Zhang Qianzhong walked outside, and Gao Zhanchao could only sigh helplessly and followed them. At the same time. Interesting, did you know that the Li dynasty would take action, so you asked everyone to leave in advance? Feeling that there was no one in the Wu Chamber of Commerce behind him, Li Tianran thought solemnly in his heart. It was obvious that he did not expect Wu Rolong to do this. But there is no other way now, we can only take Wu Rolong back first. Thinking of this, Li Tianran remained silent and rushed towards Wu Rolong directly. However, when he was about to reach Wu Rolong, he saw 3 figures appear in front of Wu Rolong and blocked Wu Rolong behind them. After seeing the faces of those 3 people, Li Tianran's expression suddenly became solemn. He did not expect that the 3 great dynasties would actually send out 3 quasi-emperors late-stage strongmen to protect Wu Rolong. But even if he knew it now, it was too late. Besides, he might not be a match for the 3 of them. You 3, either get out or die. Li Tianran was wearing thick camouflage all over his body, and even his voice was extremely hoarse, making it impossible to tell who he was. Zhang Qianzhong looked at Li Tianran and snorted coldly. We already knew that your Li dynasty would take action against President Wu, so we came here in advance to protect President Wu. But you are disguised so well, I don't know whether you are Li Tianran or Li Siking, but if I am not mistaken, it should be that guy Li Tianran. After all, that old fellow Li Tianran doesn't have much time left, so it wouldn't be strange if he came out. It has to be said that Zhang Qianzong's analysis was extremely effective. After hearing Zhang Qianzong's analysis, Li Tianran no longer hesitated and attacked with a killing move. He cannot afford to drag out the battle in his current condition as his physical condition is getting worse, so he must fight quickly, get rid of Zhang Qianzhong and the other 2, and then kidnap Wu Rolong. Seeing Li Tianran attacking them, Zhang Qianzhong and Shen Ziliai's expressions couldn't help but become excited. They were both fighters, but they hadn't taken action since they broke through to the quasi-emperor level. Now that they could take action again, they were naturally very happy. As Zhang Qianzhong and Shen Ziliai took action, Gao Zhanchao did not hesitate and followed closely. Suddenly, a battle between the 3 of them and Li Tianran was about to break out. However, because Li Tianran's cultivation level at the peak of the quasi-emperor level was higher than the other 3, he did not fall into a disadvantage. But all this is just superficial. If it lasts a little longer, Li Tianran will no longer be able to hold on. Thinking of this, Li Tianran no longer hesitated and chose to use the killing weapon he brought with him. Shen Ziliai and the other 2 all felt something, their faces changed slightly, and they had no time to dodge. They could only use their own natal spiritual treasures to block the attack, but even so, they were still severely knocked away. They even couldn't help spitting out blood when they stopped, and there was a hint of shock in their eyes when they looked at Li Tianran. Is this breath the Emperor weapon? No, it's the fake Emperor weapon. At this moment, a long sword emitting an extremely dazzling golden color was floating in front of Li Tianran. The aura on it made Shen Ziliai, the 3 quasi-emperors and late-stage powerhouses, feel extremely fearful. It is obvious that this has surpassed the level of supreme weapon and reached the level of quasi-emperor weapon. Why is it not a real emperor weapon? Because Shen Ziliai and the other 2 are very clear that if it is a real emperor weapon, then the Li dynasty would have become the 5th Holy Land long ago. And there was absolutely no way they could survive the sword attack just now. But even so, Li Tianran who possessed the quasi-emperor weapon was definitely not their match. Thinking of this, Shen Ziliai and the other 2 became desperate. They didn't expect that they would sacrifice their lives just to protect one person. What they didn't expect was that after Li Tianran severely injured the three of them with one sword, he ignored them and turned around to kill Wu Rolong. His target from the beginning to the end was Wu Rolong alone. Of course, the most important thing was that he had already consumed a lot of his strength by severely injuring three people with a single sword strike just now. If he were to kill them all, he might not be able to leave. Shen Ziliai and the other two could only watch Li Tianran pass by them, but the next second, they noticed something and the expressions on their faces changed slightly. They noticed that Wu Rolong's expression had not changed since the beginning, no matter whether it was the appearance of Li Tianran or the battle between the three of them. The expression on Wu Rolong's face always looked like he was in control of everything, as if Li Tianran in front of him was nothing at all. Chapter 31. Dad, why don't you do anything? Watching Li Tianran, Shen Ziliai and the other two start fighting, Wu Rolong thought curiously in his heart. Don't worry, now is not the time, let's wait and see. Wu Hao secretly transmitted the message, and upon hearing that, Wu Rolong could only wait. From the very beginning, Wu Rolong knew that his father had returned, and he was hiding in the dark and observing everything. Although he didn't know what realm his father was in, Wu Rolong chose to believe in his father unconditionally. After all, the higher his current realm was, the more he could feel the horror of his father back then, and he casually gave himself 100,000 top-grade spirit stones. A lot of resources have been provided over the years, far more abundant than any holy land. Therefore, any member of the Wu family now is much stronger than the disciples of the Holy Land. When he saw Li Tianran defeating Shen Ziliai and the other two and coming towards him, Wu Rolong remained unmoved because he believed that his father would take action. Sure enough, the next second Wu Hao appeared in front of Wu Rolong, looked at Li Tianran with a very calm expression and said, "Either get out or die." Wu Hao could see that in Li Tianran's current condition, even if he didn't kill him, he wouldn't be able to hold out for half a year. It would be better to let him enjoy the feeling of dying slowly in pain. But Li Tianran was only slightly frightened by Wu Hao's appearance, and then he attacked without hesitation. Now he had no way out. Either he had to kill Wu Hao and bring Wu Rolong back, or he would leave in disgrace and die in pain within half a year due to the backlash of his lifespan. Compared with the latter, Li Tianran prefers the former. When Shen Ziliai and the other two saw Wu Hao appear, they couldn't help but show shock on their faces. If there was someone hiding around, they would definitely have discovered him, but they didn't notice Wu Hao's existence at all. In other words, Wu Hao's realm is definitely above theirs, and he has definitely reached the peak of the Quasi-Emperor. Thinking of this, Shen Ziliai and others couldn't help but feel a little scared. Fortunately, they did not attack Wu Rolong just now, but chose to protect Wu Rolong. Otherwise, if Wu Hao attacked them, they would surely die. However, the current situation is not optimistic. Li Tianran is holding a pseudo-emperor weapon in his hand, and his strength is much stronger than that of a normal quasi-emperor. Wu Hao may not be his opponent. Li Tianran had the same idea and controlled the pseudo-emperor weapon to kill Wu Hao. But a shocking scene happened the next second. Wu Hao just stretched out two fingers and took the attack of the pseudo-emperor weapon that was enough to destroy the entire Li dynasty. The shock in Li Tianran's pupils could no longer be suppressed. It was obvious that Wu Hao's strength had exceeded his imagination. "You are not a quasi-emperor, you are a great emperor." Li Tianran's tone was extremely shocked, and he even forgot to disguise himself. If Wu Hao was really the great emperor, then his disguise would be meaningless to Wu Hao, and Wu Hao would still be able to investigate his identity. Besides the fact that Wu Hao was the great emperor, he couldn't imagine how Wu Hao could so easily take on the full force of the pseudo-emperor weapon. Shen Ziliai and the other two who were not far away were also stunned. Oh my god, they originally thought that Wu Hao was just an ordinary quasi-emperor at the peak level, but they didn't expect that Wu Hao was actually suspected to be a great emperor. You should know that there is no great emperor in the current profound heaven world. There is absolutely no great emperor either openly or secretly. It is said that a long time ago, a serious accident happened in profound heaven world, which cut off the road to profound heaven world, and later generations could no longer break through to great emperor. Therefore, the current profound heaven world can only break through to the peak of quasi-emperor at most. Going further would be impossible. If they had just guessed that Wu Hao was the great emperor, then the next scene would make them sure that Wu Hao was really the former great emperor. Wu Hao just applied a little force with two fingers, and spider web-like cracks appeared on the pseudo-emperor weapon. The next second, it shattered. "Hey, I haven't even started to get serious yet, why did your fake emperor weapon break?" Wu Hao looked at Li Tianran, with the mockery in his eyes not concealed at all. Seeing this scene, Li Tianran felt angry and frightened. He never thought that he would meet a great emperor in his lifetime. What's more terrible is that this great emperor was the enemy of his Li dynasty. Thinking of this, Li Tianran, with the idea that he would never betray the Li dynasty, blew himself up in front of Wu Hao, but it was obvious that Wu Hao would not let him do that. Wu Hao just snapped his fingers and Li Tianran couldn't even self-destruct and was killed by Wu Hao with one blow. After killing Li Tianran, Wu Hao sighed helplessly and said, "Alas, I haven't even started to take it seriously yet, how come I died?" Although Shen Zilei and the other two in the distance felt that Wu Hao's behavior was just like showing off, they had no intention of refutation at all. After all, Wu Hao really had the capital to show off. After confirming that Wu Hao was definitely the great emperor, Shen Zilei and the other two no longer cared about their injuries, and quickly stood up and trotted to Wu Hao. "Thank you for saving my life, senior." "Are you kidding? The Wu Hao in front of them is a great emperor." Although they don't know how Wu Hao broke through to the great emperor, this doesn't stop them from trying to please Wu Hao. He is a great emperor. The deterrent power of the great emperor is much more terrifying than that of the emperor weapon. Although the quasi-emperor can reach the same level of combat power as the great emperor with the emperor weapon, the great emperor will not give the quasi-emperor the opportunity to activate the emperor weapon, at least the stronger great emperor will not. "Get up. Since you are fighting for my son, take these 3 pills. They will help you recover from your injuries." Wu Hao thought about it and threw 3 pills directly to Shen Zilei and the other two. Seeing that Wu Hao gave them elixirs, Shen Zilei and the other two hurriedly collected the elixirs. Not to mention that Wu Hao gave them elixirs, even if Wu Hao gave them excrement, they would have to take it with a smile and say, "It smells good." This is the horror of the great emperor. After seeing the quality of the elixir, Shen Zilei and the others couldn't help but gasp. It's actually an emperor-grade elixir. Pills also have different grades, from low to high they are Huangsu edition, then saint-grade pills, supreme-grade pills, and finally emperor-grade pills. Emperor-grade pills, as the name implies, are pills for great emperors. Given their current situation, if they swallow emperor-grade pills, the medicinal power in them may not only help them recover from their injuries, but may also allow them to break through to the peak of quasi-emperor. Chapter 32. Thank you for the elixir. Shen Zilei and the others really knelt down this time, and spoke to Wu Hao with an extremely grateful tone. They have been stuck in the quasi-emperor late stage for tens of thousands of years. Although a breakthrough in a small realm will not increase their lifespan, it also brings them one step closer to breaking through to the great emperor. What if they are lucky enough to break through to the great emperor in their lifetime? And didn't the senior in front of them also break through to the great emperor? That is to say, the road is not broken, and they can also break through to the great emperor. Okay, you guys go back first. By the way, don't spread what happened here today, and don't attack the Li dynasty. If the Li dynasty dares to attack my son, then naturally my son will be needed to avenge it. Also, don't let anyone know my identity. Got it? Wu Hao looked at Shen Zilei and the other two and gave them instructions. A flash of pity for the Li dynasty appeared in the eyes of Shen Zilei and the other two, and then they nodded quickly and agreed, then turned around and left. Just after Shen Zilei and the other two turned around and left, Wu Rolong's extremely resentful voice came from behind Wu Hao. "Dad, isn't it a bit too much for me to ask you to destroy the Li dynasty? It's okay. You have cultivated to the Saint Realm in less than 100 years. If you are given 1,000 years, you should be able to cultivate to the Supreme Realm. At that time, I will give you an Emperor weapon. With the blessing of the Emperor weapon, it should not be a problem for you to destroy the Li dynasty." Wu Hao looked at Wu Rolong and spoke in an extremely serious tone. After hearing Wu Hao's words, Wu Rolong was stunned at first, but he quickly reacted and said in an extremely shocked tone, "Dad, do you have Emperor weapon?" After all, Wu Rolong had been in profound heaven world for a long time and had learned more and more things. Naturally, he also knew how terrifying Emperor weapon was. There are only 4 Emperor weapons in the entire profound heaven world. It is precisely because of these 4 Emperor weapons that the 4 holy places exist today. This shows how terrifying the Emperor weapon is. Just when Wu Rolong thought that his father had Emperor weapon, the next second Wu Hao shook his head and then said, "Although I don't have an Emperor weapon, I can refine one. In fact, refining Emperor weapon is not very difficult. As long as Wu Hao is given some time and taught the weapon forging technique by the descendants of top-grade spiritual roots, his weapon forging technique can be broken through to the level of forging emperor weapon or even immortal weapon in a short period of time. Upon hearing that his father could forge the emperor weapon, Wu Rolong's breathing quickened. Then, after learning from Wu Hao the materials needed to forge the emperor weapon, he ordered his men to collect them. After settling the matter of the Wu Chamber of Commerce, Wu Hao did not stay any longer and chose to return to the central region. After all, his wife was still in the secret realm. Although he could not go in, it still looked very good from the outside. Wu Hao thought happily in his heart. On the other side, Li Sukin was pacing anxiously in the Soul Lamp Hall. In the profound heaven world, one only needs to reach the gold core stage to transfer a bit of one's own power to the soul lamp. By observing the condition of the soul lamp, one can understand the condition of the cultivator. This is exactly the same reason why everything goes out when a person dies. Just when Li Sukin was extremely looking forward to it, a crisp bang was heard the next second, which made Li Sukin stunned in place. He turned around and looked in disbelief. The soul lamp at the highest point of the soul lamp hall suddenly shattered, and Li Tianran's name was clearly written on it. Seeing this scene, Li Sukin's heart was broken along with the soul lamp. He knew that the ancestor had failed. He only hoped that when the ancestor died, the other party would not be sure that the ancestor was a member of the Li dynasty. Soon, Li Sukin also came to the forbidden area. After knowing that Li Tianran had failed and died, the remaining 17 ancestors fell silent. It was obvious that they had not expected that the person who had been lying in the coffin with them in the past would be reduced to ashes today. But the most shocked among them was Li Suking. As one of the only 2 quasi-emperor peak powerhouses in the entire Li dynasty, he knew clearly that Li Tianran had a pseudo-emperor weapon on him. If the person who attacked was also at the quasi-emperor peak, then he would definitely not be Li Tianran's opponent. Then there are only 2 possibilities: the other party has a real emperor weapon or the other party's strength is far above Li Tianran, but in any case, neither of them is something that the current Li dynasty can afford. Thinking of this, Li Suking's tone became extremely dejected, and he transmitted his voice. Su Kun, from now on, don't go against the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Otherwise, my Li dynasty will only face death. Hearing Li Suking's words, Li Sukin also hurriedly spoke. I understand, ancestor. I will find a way to deepen the relationship between my Li dynasty and the Wu Chamber of Commerce. I will never go to war with the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Li Sukin is not an idiot. He naturally knows that the current Wu Chamber of Commerce is not something that his Li dynasty can afford to provoke. He is afraid that even if he sends out all the quasi-emperor ancestors, he will not be able to do anything to the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Therefore, as long as you are not an idiot, the best way is to make a truce with the Wu Chamber of Commerce and find ways to form an alliance with the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Only in this way will the Wu Chamber of Commerce not take action against the Li dynasty. It's just that Li Sukin's thoughts were beautiful, but the reality was very cruel. From the very beginning when Li Sukin dared to let his hidden man take action against Wu Rolong, the end of the Li dynasty was determined, and that was destruction. Is this the inheritance of the Hedang quasi-emperor? Looking at the huge tower that appeared in the vast secret realm, Wu Yifan's eyes were full of surprise. After leaving his great-grandmother's side, Wu Yifan began to search throughout the vast secret realm. Of course, he did not let go of any ferocious beasts or rare treasures he encountered, because no one was a match for Wu Yifan anyway. But just a day ago, Wu Yifan seemed to have sensed something and rushed towards the most central area of the entire vast secret realm. However, he did not expect that a 1,000,000-meter-high giant tower appeared in the center of the vast secret realm at some point. At this moment, Wu Yifan had a strange idea in his mind, that is, if he went in, he would get a huge opportunity. After thinking about it, Wu Yifan couldn't help but went in directly. After all, he came here for the inheritance of the vast quasi-emperor, and the giant tower in front of him was the place most likely to contain the inheritance of the vast quasi-emperor. What Wu Yifan didn't expect was that it was because of his arrival that the inheritance of the vast quasi-emperor finally appeared. Almost at the same time that Wu Yifan entered the giant tower, the next second, everyone in the vast secret realm felt something and looked towards the center of the vast secret realm with excitement. Is this feeling the inheritance of the Hedang quasi-emperor? Hiss, go and take a look. It is said that a 1,000,000-meter-high giant tower has appeared in the center of the Hedang secret realm, and inside it is the inheritance of the Hedang quasi-emperor. What? Wait for me, I want to get the inheritance of the Hedang quasi-emperor. All of a sudden, everyone in the vast secret realm rushed towards the center of the vast secret realm, and Wu Yifan, who was the first to enter the giant tower, had also arrived at the center of the giant tower. Chapter 33. Is this the place where the Hedang Quasi-Emperor's legacy is passed down? At this time, Wu Yifan had already entered the interior of the giant tower, and there was endless darkness around the tower, as if the whole world was magnified. When he opened his spiritual sense, he found that the world in front of him was so huge that it was beyond his ability to explore clearly. Just after Wu Yifan turned around, he found that the way he came in had disappeared. Wu Yifan couldn't help but frowned. But at this moment, a hearty laugh came from behind Wu Yifan. Ha ha ha, young man, are you here guided by fate? As Wu Yifan turned around, he found that a huge shadow had appeared in front of him. The moment he saw the other party, Wu Yifan's expression was slightly shocked. Before coming in, he had investigated the Quasi-Emperor Hedang, and naturally could tell that the old man in front of him was the Quasi-Emperor Hedang. After just thinking about it, Wu Yifan realized that the old man should be the residual soul left by the Hedang Quasi-Emperor, so he bowed to the Hedang Quasi-Emperor in front of him. Junior Wu Yifan greets Senior Hedang. Well, there are indeed people who know me in this era. Quasi-Emperor Hedang was also very satisfied with Wu Yifan's reaction. He stroked his non-existent beard and said with a smile. Looking at the vast Quasi-Emperor, Wu Yifan sighed helplessly, and then he asked. Senior, since you are here, can I inherit your legacy? Well, this is exactly where my inheritance came from. I have been observing you since you came in. To be honest, young man, I like you very much. The Quasi-Emperor Hedang finally reacted, coughed, looked at Wu Yifan and spoke very seriously. But it made Wu Yifan feel a chill. Could it be that Quasi-Emperor Hedang likes men? Thinking of this, Wu Yifan couldn't help but take 2 steps back, wondering how he should escape if Quasi-Emperor Hedang took action. However, it seemed that he had no chance of escaping in front of a Quasi-Emperor at the peak of his power. But his great-grandfather was outside, and if something happened to him, he would not just sit there and watch. When Emperor Hedang saw Wu Yifan's actions, he felt as if he was struck, and realized that his words were indeed ambiguous, so he coughed and said. Ahem, my words may be ambiguous. What I meant is that you have outstanding talent and are the most outstanding among all those who came in. After hearing this, Wu Yifan finally understood what Quasi-Emperor Hedang meant, but he still stayed away from Quasi-Emperor Hedang. Once the idea of suspicion was planted, the crime would be established. Quasi-Emperor Hedang was helpless, but did not say anything. Wu Yifan, on the other hand, thought of something and looked at Quasi-Emperor Hedang and asked. According to what you said, can I directly receive your inheritance? Then, in Wu Yifan's expectant eyes, the Quasi-Emperor Hedang shook his head. Not really. Although you have outstanding talent, the inheritance is what I left behind before I died. I am only a remnant soul now. So even if I like your talent very much, I cannot pass the inheritance to you directly. But you have come in first, ahead of others for a while, and your chances of obtaining the inheritance will be a little higher than others. All right. Wu Yifan sighed helplessly, and then was sent by the Hedang Quasi-Emperor to accept the inheritance challenge. Just after Wu Yifan left, about 10 minutes later the second person came in, and then the third, and the fourth. Soon, most of the people in the vast secret realm came to the inheritance tower. And now Wu Yifan is far ahead of them. On the other side, outside. After practicing for about 5 years, Wu Yida also showed extremely terrifying talent. He broke through to the peak of nascent soul in 5 years and was only 1 step away from breaking through to soul formation. This shocked the entire Wu family, of course, except Wu Hao. Hubby, Yida's talent is so terrifying, should we find a good teacher for him? At night, in Wu Xuanyuan's room, Wu Xuanyuan's wife Li Yulong had just finished practicing martial arts with Wu Xianyuan and handed in their homework. She then held Wu Xuanyuan's arms and asked hesitantly. After all, with the talent Wu Yida has shown now, it may only take him 20 years to break through to the Saint Realm, and currently in the Wu family, only Wu Rolong and Wu Qishan have broken through to the Saint Realm. By then, there will be no one in the Wu family who can guide Wu Yida. After hearing his wife's words, Wu Xianyuan couldn't help but start thinking about what his wife said. Indeed, he and his wife were only at the peak of refining void, and they were still 1 step away from transcending tribulation. Judging from the current trend, their cultivation will soon be inferior to that of their son, and it is time to find a good master for their son. Well, what you said makes sense, but I should first ask my eldest brother and father for their opinions on this matter. If possible, I think we can ask grandfather for his opinion. Wu Xianyuan spoke, and Li Yulong nodded, especially when she thought of Wu Hao. A hint of fear appeared in her eyes. After all, although Wu Hao had never taken action before, there had always been a legend about Wu Hao in the Wu family. It was said that Wu Hao's cultivation was definitely at the supreme or even quasi-emperor realm, otherwise he would not have been able to protect such a large family business. Otherwise, the previous emperor of the Li dynasty would not have come to apologize and call for a truce. The next day, Wu Xianyuan gathered Wu Quncan and others, and after hearing Wu Xuanyuan's words, Wu Quncan and others nodded. Indeed, Yudao is the prodigy of our Wu family. It is necessary to find a master for Yudao. But Yudao is a chaos body. This secret must not be exposed. Otherwise, people from the four sacred grounds will definitely come to snatch it away. If they can't snatch it away, they might even kill you. Wu Wandao's words made Wu Xianyuan and others think about this question. Indeed, the four holy lands have always destroyed the geniuses if they could not get them. It was precisely because of this that the status of the four holy lands was consolidated. If the news that Wu Yida possesses a chaotic body gets out, I'm afraid the four holy places will soon come to attack the Wu family. If Wu Yida does not join, they may even destroy the entire Wu family. After some discussion, they quickly threw this question to their father Wu Rolong. When Wu Rolong learned the news, he pondered for a moment and chose to throw the question to his father. Leave it to your grandfather to handle. When Wu Hao learned that Wu Xianyuan and others were going to find a master for Wu Yida, he was stunned. No, he was the great emperor. When would he need to find a trash quasi-emperor to be the master of his grandson? So without hesitation, Wu Hao refused. There is no need to find a master for Wu Yida. Just let him go out to gain experience. With my protection, nothing will happen to him. After all, the children of destiny that Wu Hao knew were basically left alone. For example, Wu Yifan, didn't he break through to such a powerful level just by being left alone? Moreover, what is destiny? Destiny means that the timing is not right and it is impossible to kill someone, just like Xianba. Chapter 34. Although they had some doubts about their grandfather's decision, Wu Xianyuan and others did not refute it, especially when they heard that Wu Yida's talent was no worse than Wu Yifan's and that staying in the Wu family would only delay his growth. Wu Xianyuan looked at Wu Quncan with a proud expression. It's like saying, look, my son's talent is almost as good as your son's. God knew that Wu Quncan had been bragging to Wu Xianyuan and the others about how talented his son was. Alas, he was forced to become a burden to his son. Wu Xianyuan and the others had long been unable to bear it, and now that they had the chance to fight back they would naturally not miss it. So, just like that, Wu Yida was driven out by Wu Xianyuan when he was confused, and Wu Xianyuan and Li Yulong also spoke earnestly. Son, remember to practice hard outside and be careful of your own safety. If there is nothing else, don't contact us. These are resources for you. After saying that, Wu Xianyuan and Li Yulong disappeared. After all, now that we have mobile phones, it is not very difficult to keep in touch. Under Wu Rolong's guidance, everyone in the Wu family has a mobile phone and also has their own family group. However, because the base station has not yet been built in the central region, Wu Hao has not yet entered the group chat. In the blink of an eye, it was the day when the phone was released, and the entrance of the Wu Chamber of Commerce branch in the entire southern domain was filled with people. When the people from the Wu Chamber of Commerce opened the door and saw so many people, they were shocked, but after they came to their senses, they smiled and shouted at them. Don't be in a hurry, come one by one to buy the phone, line up, otherwise we won't sell it to you. Hearing this, the people surrounding the Wu Chamber of Commerce outside quickly lined up. Of course, today was the first day of sales, and most of the people who came were cultivators. As for mortals, no one would take out 10 low-grade spirit stones to buy a phone without knowing the effect of the phone. Soon, as people lined up, mobile phones came into their hands one after another. Under the guidance of the clerk, they quickly learned how to operate the phones and couldn't help but be amazed. Obviously, no one expected that the Wu Chamber of Commerce would have such a great ability to connect everyone's mobile phones so that everyone can communicate. Even if one end of the southern domain contacts the other end, it only takes a few minutes to get through. Soon a day passed. Wu Rolong, who was sitting at the headquarters, had a leisurely expression on his face, while Liu Yangfeng and others around him were a little anxious until the news finally came. President, Today our mobile phone sales reached 95 million units, including 50 million ordinary cultivator versions, 35 million exquisite cultivator versions, and 10 million luxury cultivator versions. The sales reached a terrifying 103,550 top-grade spirit stones. Hearing this horrific sales figure, everyone present couldn't help but get excited. You know, this is only the first day, which means that the sales of mobile phones will continue to rise. Of course, Wu Rolong also did some tricks on the phone, leaving behind a formation to extend the life of the phone. In addition, it cannot be disassembled, thus preventing it from being copied. As for the lifespan, a mortal's cell phone will be scrapped after 10 years, and a cultivator's will be scrapped after 100 years. That's for the ordinary cultivator's version. The exquisite and luxurious ones will last 500 years and 2000 years respectively. After all, people have paid for it, so the cell phone must last longer. Alright, everyone calm down. Give the order. It's time to start running all the major software. Don't let our phones be exposed for problems and poor quality on the first day. Wu Rolong stood up, looked at everyone and spoke. Wu Yangfeng and others also shouted. Yes. At the same time, the first southern domain cultivator who got the phone was named Chen Yuming, who was at the peak of the foundation building stage. He originally bought it out of boredom after seeing that it didn't require many spirit stones and that it could be used for entertainment and to assist in cultivation. With the help of the store clerk, Chen Yuming has also figured out the function of the mobile phone, which is that he can play games and socialize on it after connecting to the internet. If he pays extra money, he can also gain auxiliary functions for cultivation, such as gathering spiritual energy. But it is obvious that Chen Yuming does not want to use the function of gathering spiritual energy for the time being. After all, if he just wants to gather spiritual energy, he can just set up the formation directly and does not need a mobile phone at all. Soon, Chen Yuming found a software called Microwave and clicked on it. It was said that one could see other people's lives on it, regardless of the level of cultivation. Just as Chen Yuming clicked in and completed the registration according to the above process, he soon saw a message above. The person who sent it was Wang Yun, the Emperor God of the Divine Sovereign Dynasty. Hello everyone, I am Wang Yun, the Emperor God of the Divine Sovereign Dynasty. From today on, I will be stationed in Microwave. What appeared on the phone screen was Wang Yun, the Emperor God of the Divine Sovereign Dynasty. And it wasn't just Shen Wang Yun. The emperors of the other three dynasties also released videos one after another. Suddenly, Chen Yuming couldn't help but gasp dozens of times. What? I didn't expect that a small mobile phone could be used by the emperors of the four great dynasties. Chen Yuming didn't know that the emperors of the four great dynasties had already used the most luxurious mobile phones at the press conference 7 days earlier than them, and had known how to use them earlier than the people in Profound Heaven World. It was just that there was no internet access at that time, so they could not release them for the time being. Not only Chen Yuming was shocked, but also other creatures in the southern domain and people from the four dynasties. Inside the Wanhua Holy Land, the Holy Lord of Wanhua Holy Land, Emperor Murong, looked extremely solemn as he listened to the news from the spies in front of him. The four Holy Lands all have branches in the 5 realms, so not long after the phone was released, the four Holy Lands also received the news. Interesting, this kind of thing must be in the hands of my Wanhua Holy Land. I will go and have a look now. A hint of ambition flashed in Emperor Murong's eyes. If he could get the technology of mobile phones into his Wanhua Holy Land, then his Wanhua Holy Land would definitely surpass the other 3 Holy Lands and become the leader. The other 3 holy places are Qinglian Holy Land, Rao Shui Holy Land, and Jingglei Holy Land. After knowing the existence of the cell phone, the Holy Lords of the Qinglian Holy Land, the Rao Shui Holy Land, and the Jingglei Holy Land also realized the importance of the matter, so they all brought their weapons and rushed to the southern domain. No matter what, they had to get the cell phone under their command. At the very least, we must not let it fall into the hands of hostile forces. On the other hand, Wu Rolong didn't know that the Holy Lords of the 4 Holy Lands were heading this way, and he was still happily running his Wu Chamber of Commerce. With the release of the mobile phone, the Wu Chamber of Commerce's daily net profit reached a terrifying amount of tens of thousands of top-grade spirit stones. You have to know that this is 3.65 million per day, which is 3.65 million per year. Even if the 4 major holy places add up, they only have about this amount of top-grade spirit stones per year. As long as we persist for a long time, surpassing the 4 holy places will definitely not be a problem. Chapter 35. Strange, the Holy Lord of 10,000 Flowers left the Holy Land of 10,000 Flowers and headed towards the southern domain. Could he be heading for the phone? On the other hand, Wu Hao's spiritual sense was enough to cover half of the central region. Wu Hao keenly captured the moment when the Holy Lord of 10,000 Flowers passed by. Combined with the direction in which the Holy Lord of 10,000 Flowers was heading, Wu Hao quickly determined that the Holy Lord of 10,000 Flowers was probably planning to go to the southern domain. What could possibly attract the Holy Lord of 10,000 Flowers in the southern domain now? It was nothing more than mobile phones. Thinking of this, Wu Hao did not hesitate and chose to follow secretly. After all, the Holy Lord of 10,000 Flowers was at the peak of quasi-emperor level, and he had the genuine emperor weapon in his hand. If he attacked Wu Rolong, the means he left behind might not be able to stop him. But when Wu Hao was following Murong Huang, he also noticed 3 auras similar to Murong Huang's not far away, and they all seemed to be heading towards the southern domain. Interesting. It seems that even the 4 holy places were alarmed by this little gadget that was invented casually, and they want to snatch it away. Wu Hao thought to himself, and then continued to follow behind Murong Huang silently. Although Murong Huang was at the peak of quasi-emperor, Wu Hao was now at the great emperor late stage. If he didn't want to be discovered by Murong Huang would not be able to detect him even if he was 2.5 meters away from him. The 4 holy masters were extremely fast and soon arrived in the southern domain, and then followed the location they had obtained earlier to the top of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Just when Emperor Murong was about to speak, he noticed something, suddenly looked not far away, and said with a sneer. Li Teibei, as expected you are here too. As Emperor Murong finished speaking, a middle-aged man in green clothes with a long sword in his hand appeared not far away. He was the Holy Lord of the Qinglian Holy Land, Li Teibei. But at this moment, Li Bai's face did not show any joy of reminiscing about the past with old friends, but rather he spoke with an expression of as expected. Why, you can come but I can't. And the 2 hiding nearby, come out. As Li Teibei finished his words, 2 more figures slowly emerged from the void beside them. When he saw those 2 figures, Emperor Murong's expression became even uglier, because they were Lin Shuaru, the Holy Lord of Rao Shui Holy Land, and Lei Wanyun, the Holy Lord of Jinglei Holy Land. Old thief Murong, do you want to come here alone to eat all the food? Aren't you afraid that the 3 of us will join forces to attack your Wanhua Holy Land? Lei Wanyun looked towards Murong Huang with cold eyes. If the 4 holy lands were to fight one-on-one, it would basically be impossible to tell who would win. But if it was 3-on-1, the Wanhua Holy Land would undoubtedly lose. However, the 4 holy lands would never go to war unless it was absolutely necessary, because if they did, the waves that would be stirred up would be enough to disturb the entire profound heaven world. Haha, old Murong, do you think you are the only one who knows? We would definitely come if we knew. The things here are too complicated. You can't handle it. Just leave it to me. Lin Shuaru covered her mouth and sneered at Murong Huang, but Murong Huang refused without hesitation. 3 of you, please give me the things here. How about I, Emperor Murong, owe you a favor? Are you kidding? If any holy land gets hold of the things here, it would only take 100 years for them to rule over the profound heaven world and become the master of the profound heaven world. If they dared to give the things here to Emperor Murong, they would probably be scolded to death by the people in the Holy Land when they returned. So without hesitation, Li Bai and others refused. Seeing this scene, Wu Hao, who was hiding in the dark, became curious. How would the 4 saints solve this matter? However, at this moment, Emperor Murong spoke. Since we can't get it, how about destroying it? If everyone is unwilling to give in, then the best solution is to destroy this thing. In this way, no one can threaten the status of our 4 holy places. At the same time, the relationship between our 4 holy places can remain the same. Emperor Murong's tone was extremely serious. This was the best solution he had thought about for a long time. If he didn't want the 4 holy places to go to war, then destruction would be the last resort. Otherwise, even if any holy land obtained this technology, the other 3 holy lands would definitely not sit idly by. The best way would be to destroy the Wu Chamber of Commerce. In this way, the 4 holy lands would not go to war. As Emperor Murong finished speaking, Li Teibei and the other 2 fell silent. It was obvious that they had not expected that Emperor Murong could come up with such a method. Li Bai spoke first. Go ahead if you want to. I will only make sure that you don't get the technology of the mobile phone. Otherwise, my Qinglian Holy Land can cooperate with their Wu's Chamber of Commerce. As a member of a famous and upright family, Li Bai would never do anything to wipe out an entire family. As Li Teibei spoke, Lin Shuoru also laughed. I'm not that violent. If you, the one who a Holy Land, want to take action, then go ahead. But my Rao Shui Holy Land might not just stand by and watch, but might even help the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Indeed, wiping out an entire family is too much, so I choose to stand on the side of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Lei Wanyun also nodded and said seriously. Looking at the expressions of the three of them, if it weren't for the fact that everyone's strength was the same, Emperor Murong would have probably gone up and killed them long ago. After taking a deep breath to calm himself down, Emperor Murong asked. So how do you think we should solve this problem? Can you three watch a small Wu Chamber of Commerce reach the same level as our 4 holy places? It's very simple. Let the Wu Chamber of Commerce give us a portion of its profits, and we will provide protection for the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Li Teibei said without hesitation that it was very simple to prevent the Wu Chamber of Commerce from reaching the level of their 4 holy places. All they had to do was for the 4 holy places to come to the Wu Chamber of Commerce to collect protection fees. All they need is for the Wu Chamber of Commerce to pay them a protection fee that is greater than their remaining profits, and then the Wu Chamber of Commerce will never be able to make a comeback. Lin Shuoru and Lei Wanyun also nodded and agreed. They had the same idea. But Emperor Murong didn't think so. After all, if that were the case, when would his Wanhua Holy Land ever be able to make a breakthrough? But now he couldn't refuse. Either he refused or he would become an enemy of the other 3 holy lands. Or just go along with the crowd and maintain the status quo. Judging from the current strength, it is obvious that Emperor Murong does not have the ability to overturn the table, so he could only sigh and agree. Soon, the 4 of them came to an agreement and decided to have the Wu Chamber of Commerce take out about 90% of its income and give it to the 4 holy places to split equally. After the 4 holy places divided the income equally, the income would still be higher than that of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. In this way, the Wu Chamber of Commerce would not have the idea of surpassing the 4 holy places. It's just that imagination is beautiful, but reality is cruel. Wu Hao has already listened to their words and sighed helplessly. He just wanted his son to do business well. Why do some people always come to seek death? First it was the Li dynasty, and now it's the people from the 4 holy lands. But there was no other way. He had to take action now, and based on his understanding of his son, he would never agree to it. So he had to either take action himself to repel the 4 holy lords, or just watch. Chapter 36. Just when the 4 holy masters were about to force Wu Rolong to come out, they felt something and their faces changed slightly. The scene around them changed suddenly, and before the 4 saint lords could react, they had already appeared in a deserted mountain far away from the Wu Chamber of Commerce. There was even a formation set up by Wu Hao around them, so even if the 4 saint lords wanted to leave, they couldn't. Who is it? You're sneaking around. Come out now. The expressions of the 4 holy masters seemed extremely solemn, and Lei Wanyun said angrily. They had never thought that in profound heaven world, their 4 great saints could be taken away without any resistance. For a moment, they were annoyed and angry, but more shocked and scared. As Lei Wanyun finished speaking, the next second, Wu Hao walked out, clapping his hands and speaking with a smile. You 4, I have long heard of your great names. Seeing Wu Hao come out, the 4 people present were extremely shocked in their hearts. They were completely unaware of Wu Hao's existence. Even if Wu Hao appeared in front of them now, they could not sense Wu Hao's true realm, even if Wu Hao appeared in front of them. There are only 2 possibilities in this situation. Either Wu Hao has a pseudo-emperor weapon that can help him resist the detection of quasi-emperor grade experts, or Wu Hao's realm is above them, and they are already the most powerful quasi-emperors in profound heaven world. The only one more powerful than them is the great emperor. But no matter which possibility it is not a good thing for Murong Huang and others now. After all, since Wu Hao can appear in front of them and take them away without anyone noticing, it means that Wu Hao's appearance in front of them is absolutely certain. At least Wu Hao could withstand the attack of the 4 of them, and Wu Hao also said that he had heard of your name for a long time, which means that Wu Hao knew their identities and naturally guessed that they might be carrying emperor weapons. In other words, Wu Hao has at least the combat power of a great emperor. Thinking of this, the expressions of Murong Huang and others became extremely solemn, and they were ready to take action at any time. Fellow deist, is there anything you brought us here for? Li Teibei smiled, then looked at Wu Hao and asked. After all, the most important thing at the moment is to find out whether the gentleman in front of him has any intention of taking action. It would be best if he could avoid taking action. Hearing this, Wu Hao also looked at Li Teibei and smiled. Nothing, it's just that you four are coveting my property, which makes me very unhappy. After hearing what Wu Hao said, Murong Huang and the others could not help but be shocked. It was obvious that they had not expected that the person in front of them was actually the real owner behind the Wu Chamber of Commerce. However, if the Wu Chamber of Commerce really did not have any big shots in charge, it would have been destroyed by the local forces of the southern domain long ago. How could it have developed to the point where the four of them came looking for it? After knowing that Wu Hao was the real owner behind the Wu Chamber of Commerce, Li Teibei backed down without hesitation and said to Wu Hao dryly. Fellow deist, you should have told me earlier. We are all family. How could I possibly covet your property? This is totally untrue. That's right, fellow deist. How could I possibly covet your property? Everyone in the entire profound heaven world knows that my soft water holy land is the friendliest and will never bully the weak. Lin Shuoru also followed suit and said that it would be best if they could avoid fighting. Lei Wanyun was the same, he immediately became scared. The three great saints have all given in, so it wouldn't be too embarrassing for me to give in too. Emperor Murong thought to himself, and then he gave in without hesitation. Seeing the four of them giving in, Wu Hao couldn't help but sneer, and then he spoke. If it weren't for me, you would have already attacked the Wu's Chamber of Commerce. Don't say that ignorance is innocent. Since you have already attacked, my solution is very simple. That is, all four of you attack together. If you can withstand my attack, then this matter will be over. After hearing Wu Hao's words, the four holy masters stood up and looked at each other, their eyes full of anger. He thought that Wu Hao in front of him was too arrogant. The four of them plus Emperor Weapon all had the combat power of the Great Emperor level. If converted, the four of them were equivalent to the Great Emperor. Even if the senior in front of him was truly a Great Emperor level expert, he might not be able to hold his own against these four people. But this is indeed an opportunity right now. If they can successfully make Wu Hao give up or even injure or kill him, then the Wu Chamber of Commerce will be able to allow them to occupy the four holy places. Thinking of this, Li Teibei and others looked at each other without hesitation, looked at Wu Hao and spoke. Senior, we have agreed, come on. After that, Li Teibei and the other three directly sacrificed the emperor weapons of their respective holy lands. The emperor weapon of the Qinglian Holy Land was a long sword, and the emperor weapon of the Rao Shui Holy Land was a magical water-fixing bead. The emperor weapon of the Holy Land of Flowers is a Buddha's Wrath Lotus, and the emperor weapon of the Holy Land of Thunder is a lightning sword. After launching the emperor weapon, Li Teibei and the others directly controlled the emperor weapon to kill Wu Hao without holding back. Although they didn't know what realm Wu Hao was in, choosing to hold back at this moment would definitely be a very stupid behavior. With the four peak quasi-emperors controlling the emperor weapon and unleashing its full power, it only takes a certain amount of time to destroy a region. Wu Hao was bewildered as he watched the attacks of the four of them. He originally thought that the full-strength attack unleashed by the emperor weapon controlled by the four great saints might be enough to hurt him. But in fact, Wu Hao could feel that even if he stood still, the four great emperor's soldiers might not be able to hurt him. Thinking of this, Wu Hao sighed helplessly, and then he just swung a punch. In an instant, the terrifying power knocked all four great emperor's soldiers away, and even the aftermath continued to kill Li Teibei and others. Seeing this scene, Li Teibei and others' faces were full of shock and fear. The worst outcome they could think of was that Wu Hao stretched out his hand to take the attack of the four great emperor's soldiers, but they didn't expect that Wu Hao only swung a punch to directly interrupt the attack of the four great emperor's soldiers, and the fist was still powerful and attacked them. Careful! Lin Shuoru shouted, and then used her most powerful imperial technique to try to resist the attack, and Li Teibei and others did the same. However, they did not expect that the residual power alone could directly knock them away. The moment they fell to the ground, they immediately spat out a mouthful of quasi-emperor blood, having suffered serious injuries. Hey, I haven't even started to get serious yet, why are you guys falling down? Wu Hao looked helplessly at Li Teibei and others who were lying on the ground in a mess. After all, he was not serious. If he had thrown a normal punch just now, or even a full-strength punch, the entire southern domain would probably be destroyed in an instant. Don't question the horror of the Heavenly Emperor's 10,000 Dao Sutra. It might take a certain amount of time for an ordinary Great Emperor late stage to destroy a southern domain, but for Wu Hao, it only takes a moment to do it. At this moment, Li Tebei and others couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of quasi-emperor blood after hearing Wu Hao's words. They could accept that Wu Hao could use all his strength to knock the 4 great emperor soldiers away and seriously injure them, but they could not accept that Wu Hao could seriously injure them without even using 1/10 of his strength. This is too much of a blow to the quasi-emperor. Chapter 37. Thank you for showing mercy, Senior. Although they were injured, Li Tebei and others still struggled to stand up and spoke respectfully to Wu Hao. After all, they could also see that Wu Hao was not lying, which meant that if Wu Hao had been more serious, they would have really been in trouble. Okay, I'll keep my promise. Since you took my blow, I can spare your lives, but if you dare to attack the Wu's Chamber of Commerce again, I will uproot not only you but also the Holy Land behind you. Wu Hao looked at Li Tebei and the others and said that it was not that Wu Hao could not kill them, but that he was just too lazy to kill them, and there were many things he would need to deal with afterwards after killing them. For example, the 4 holy places would be in chaos, and then they might foolishly come to seek revenge on me, but in the end, I would accidentally destroy them all, and profound heaven world would fall into chaos. Although Wu Hao only wants the Wu family to be safe, that's not the situation he wants to see, so he'll spare the lives of the 4 saints, provided they know what's best for them. Thank you, Senior. Li Bai and others quickly expressed their gratitude. Senior, I wonder what realm you are in? Are you the great emperor in the legend? Li Tebei thought of something and asked with his eyes brightening up, while Lin Shouru and others also became excited. I didn't think too much about it because I was an enemy of Wu Hao just now, but if Wu Hao is really a great emperor, does that mean I can break through to the great emperor now? As if he had guessed their thoughts, Wu Hao sneered and said. Don't think too much. Profound heaven world is not yet able to break through to the great emperor. As for me, I just broke through to the great emperor by luck. Now profound heaven world lacks the Dao principle to break through to the great emperor, so no matter how hard you try, you will never break through to the great emperor. After hearing Wu Hao's words, Li Tebei and the others' excited hearts also died. After all, their lifespan is only about 200,000 years left. If they cannot break through to the great emperor, then what will await them is death and turning into dust. But just when they were in despair, Wu Hao changed the subject. But then again, as long as you don't commit suicide, you should be able to break through to the great emperor. After all, the profound heaven world is about to revive, and then you will be able to break through to the great emperor. Upon hearing this, Li Tebei and others couldn't help but get excited, and looked at Wu Hao and thanked him gratefully. Thank you, Senior. We understand. If that's the case, then we'll leave first. After saying that, Li Tebei and the others turned around and left. They wanted to go back to their own holy land to tell their ancestors about this matter. Profound heaven world would be revived soon, and then they would be able to break through to the great emperor. Looking at their hurriedly leaving backs, Wu Hao couldn't help but shook his head. In fact, he couldn't be sure of the truth of this matter, but his 2 grandsons were both sons of destiny, which meant that they were destined to break through that barrier and become great emperors. Perhaps if one of them becomes the great emperor, he can lead to the revival of the great emperor's Dao of the entire profound heaven world, and then the golden age will reappear. Of course, all of this is Wu Hao's guess, and we will have to wait and see what the specific situation is. However, according to the current situation, Wu Yifan will probably be able to break through to the peak of the quasi-emperor within 1,000 years, and Wu Yida may be about the same. In short, we have to see the situation at that time. If it really doesn't work by then, it's not impossible to directly revive the entire profound heaven world when my cultivation is strong enough. It's not something that cannot be done anyway. At the same time, in the Wu Chamber of Commerce, Wu Rolong did not know that the 4 great saints had already come once and were taken away by his father. At this time, he was already concentrating on dealing with the affairs of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. But when he looked up, he found that his father had appeared in front of him without him knowing when. Wu Rolong was caught off guard and was shocked. Wow, Dad, your sudden appearance is scary. Okay, I came to you this time because I have something for you to do. Wu Hao waved his hand to calm Wu Rolong down before he spoke his story. After hearing Wu Hao's words, Wu Rolong's expression seemed to be deep in thought, and he began to think about this matter seriously. Indeed, our Wu's Chamber of Commerce is the largest in the entire southern domain, but there is no trace of our Wu's Chamber of Commerce in the other 4 domains. If we want to make the Wu's Chamber of Commerce bigger and stronger, we have to prepare to open Wu's Chamber of Commerce in those 4 domains. The reason Wu Hao came to Wu Rolong this time was to ask Wu Rolong to open the Wu Chamber of Commerce in those 4 places. Wu Rolong did think about this matter seriously, then looked at Wu Hao and asked. So Dad, who are you going to let go? You decide on this matter. If you go to those 4 regions to serve as the president of the Wu Chamber of Commerce branch, you will be given an additional 100 top-grade spirit stones every year. Wu Hao gave the decision-making power of this matter to Wu Rolong. Wu Rolong suddenly felt a little embarrassed, but it was difficult for him to refuse. After all, he is the head of the Wu family now, and he can't rely on Wu Hao for everything. You have to start relying on yourself now. You can't rely on me all the time. I will only help you when your life is in danger. The rest is up to you. Wu Hao said earnestly that what he wanted to cultivate was an independent and self-reliant person, not a wimp who would take action for everything. Wu Rolong also knew this truth. He hesitated for a moment before he became firm and spoke. I know, Dad. Okay, you should handle this matter as soon as possible. I can give you money if you want it, but the rest depends on you. I won't interfere too much. Wu Hao stood up and gave some instructions, then left. Only Wu Rolong was left alone to ponder the matter and decide who should be sent. But after thinking it over, Wu Rolong still felt that he had to hold a family meeting to let everyone choose together, and most importantly, it had to be voluntary. Wu Hao didn't think too much about it. All he wanted was to cover the entire profound heaven world with signals as soon as possible so that it wouldn't affect his gaming and shake shadow. On the other hand, in the 3 great dynasties, Shen Huanyun and others also heard that their ancestor had kept silent about the affairs of the Wu Chamber of Commerce after returning, and they felt very curious in their hearts. But there was no way. Even if the ancestor didn't say anything, they could do nothing. However, judging from the drastic change in the attitude of the Li dynasty towards the Wu Chamber of Commerce, there might be masters in the Wu Chamber of Commerce who were definitely not inferior to the strongest masters of their 4 dynasties. Otherwise, their ancestors would not have behaved like this. But at this time, Shen Zilei and others did not care about what Shen Huanyun and others thought. Instead, after returning to the forbidden area of the dynasty, they swallowed the elixir given by Wu Hao, recovered from their injuries and began to strive for the peak of the Kuei-Sai Emperor. After they break through to the peak of Kuei-Sai Emperor, they will no longer need to fear the Li dynasty from now on. No, even now they don't need to fear the Li dynasty because Li Tianran has fallen and even the pseudo-emperor weapon has been shattered. Chapter 38. Everyone, you should be curious about why this family head asked you to gather together. As you can see, the Wu Chamber of Commerce under our Wu family has become powerful to a certain extent. A small southern domain can no longer accommodate our Wu Chamber of Commerce. According to the ancestor, it is time for our Wu Chamber of Commerce to expand to the remaining 4 regions. And the purpose of this family head summoning you is to elect the presidents of the branches that will go to the other 4 regions. Are you willing? After hearing Wu Rolong's words, the people of the Wu family below suddenly became excited. As members of the Wu family, they naturally knew how high the status of the Wu family was in the entire southern domain. It was no exaggeration to say that if they were embarrassed by others when they went out to do things, they only needed to report the name of the Wu family. If you dare not give me face, I will directly cut off your phone's internet connection. Are you afraid? Master, this is for the expansion of our Wu family's territory, it is a great merit. I, Wu Ping'an, will naturally intervene. Master, I, Wu Onlin, am willing to go out and enhance the reputation of my Wu family. Master, I am the same. Seeing the extremely positive attitude of the Wu family members below, Wu Rolong nodded with satisfaction. Originally, he thought the response might be mediocre, after all, they had to stay away from the Wu family, but he didn't expect so many people to rush out. With people who care so much about the family, it would be hard for the Wu family not to soar to the sky. Ahem, alright, this matter will be decided by the head of the family. Anyone who wants to go can go to Kyunkan to sign up. Wu Rolong looked at everyone and spoke, then turned and left. Soon, Wu Rolong obtained the list of Wu family members who were going to the other 4 regions to serve as presidents of the Wu Chamber of Commerce branches. Wow, most of the Wu family members were planning to go, but this matter required extra caution, so Wu Rolong did not select them casually. Instead, after careful investigation, he finally decided on the list of people who would go to the other 4 regions. The 4 people who went there were Wu Wandao, Wu Tiankan, Wu Qishan, and Wu Shuiying. After all, now except Wu Qishan, the other 3 have already cultivated to the peak level of refining void, and they can be regarded as mid-level combat power in the current Wu family. It is most appropriate to send the 4 of them. After all, you are going out to establish a branch of the Wu Chamber of Commerce, so you must have some strength, and you also need to have enough courage and wisdom, otherwise you will not be able to compete with other chambers of commerce. Soon, Wu Wandao and 4 others came in front of Wu Rolong. Father! Wu Wandao and the other 3 looked at Wu Rolong, and Wu Rolong nodded and motioned for them to sit down. Wu Rolong spoke only after Wu Wantao and the other 3 sat down. This time, the 4 of you will go to the other 4 regions to establish branches of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Do you have the confidence? Don't worry, Father. If it's just a business war, we are absolutely sure of our victory. But we are afraid that someone will act without moral integrity and attack directly. Wu Qixin said with a serious expression. Although Wu Qixin is not the son of destiny, he has superb spiritual roots. In addition, even the ordinary family members of the Wu family have better resources than the saints and daughters of the Holy Land, so now Wu Tianqin has also broken through to the peak of saint. Hearing Wu Qixin's words, Wu Rolong also nodded with a serious expression. You are right, but there is no need to be afraid. I will let Wu Yangfeng and the 3 of them follow you to the north and west regions. As for the central region, now your grandfather is in the central region. He should help out, so there is no need to worry. Hearing this, Wu Wandao and the others also felt relieved. Now, with the help of the Wu Chamber of Commerce, Wu Yangfeng and the other 2 have broken through to the Saint King late-stage realm. With the 3 of them in charge, the Wu Chamber of Commerce branch will indeed be safer. As for the central region, with Grandpa here, I think even the Holy Land won't be able to do anything to them. What Wu Wandao and the others didn't know was that even the Holy Lords of the 4 Holy Lands had been severely punished by their grandfather. If they knew that the Wu Chamber of Commerce had opened a Chamber of Commerce in their territories, they might have protected the safety of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. During this half year, Wu Wandao and others had made sufficient preparations and came to the places where they should go to open branches of the Wu Chamber of Commerce. It will be difficult at the beginning, but with time, they will be able to make the Wu Chamber of Commerce bigger and stronger soon. After all, the foundation is there. At this moment in the vast secret inheritance tower, Wu Yifan has reached the 5th level of test, which is also the final level of test. Oh, is it the mirror challenge? Wu Yifan looked at a figure slowly emerging from the darkness in front of him. It looked exactly like himself, and he thought with some surprise. But soon, Wu Yifan shook his head and rushed towards the figure in front of him. Although the mirror image is similar to Wu Yifan's original body, it is obvious that the mirror image is far from Wu Yifan's incredible growth speed. Wu Yifan soon seized the opportunity and killed it with one punch. Just when Wu Yifan passed the 5th level test, all the monks in the inheritance tower were teleported out before they could react. They suddenly appeared outside. Everyone present looked at each other, obviously not knowing what was going on. Did someone inherit the legacy of the Hedang Kuei-Sai Emperor? Otherwise, how could we be teleported out? 9 out of 10. Damn it, who on earth stole my chance? If I knew, I would kill his whole family. It would be best if this boy is from the Holy Land, otherwise he will probably die. Many people looked inside the inheritance tower with extremely solemn expressions. At the same time, they were also very curious about who had obtained the inheritance of the Hedang Kuei-Sai Emperor. After all, they had only barely made it to the 3rd level of the assessment after such a long time, while the other party had passed the 5th level of the assessment so quickly. Could it be that the saint son or saint daughter of some holy land? Mirong Shuet, who was in the crowd, looked a little ugly after seeing this scene. Could it be that BCH So Kioran has obtained the inheritance of the Hedang Kuei-Sai Emperor? How do Chen Feng and the others do things? Why haven't they sent me a message yet? Mirong Shuet told Chen Feng and the others that they must inform So Kioran after they killed her, but right now there was no news from Chen Feng and the other 2, so Mirong Shuet began to worry, fearing that it would be So Kioran who would inherit the legacy. If So Kioran really obtained the inheritance of the Hedang Kuei-Sai Emperor, she might not be able to take the position of the saint even if she was the daughter of the Holy Lord. It was so cruel in the Wanhua Holy Land that only those with the strongest talent could become the saint. At this time, So Kioran didn't know what was happening here. At this time, So Kioran had already broken through to the realm of Great Sage. Chapter 39. It turns out that you are the one who got my inheritance. When he saw that the person who inherited his legacy was Wu Yifan, there was no surprise on Kuei-Sai Emperor Hedang's face. After all, it was after he had noticed Wu Yifan's talent that he decisively chose to start the inheritance. Unlike the inheritance of others, the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi-Emperor can only be opened once. That is to say, if the right person is not found to open it, the Hedang Quasi-Emperor must hand over the inheritance. And Wu Yifan was the most talented person that the Quasi-Emperor Hedang had seen in the past million years, so he opened the inheritance without hesitation, just for Wu Yifan to get his own inheritance. Wu Yifan did not disappoint his own expectations and successfully inherited the skills. It was just a fluke. Wu Yifan said modestly that after all, he was just a little more talented than others, had a little better resources than others, and had a little better luck than others. If others got everything he had, they might be able to do better than him. Wu Yifan has always thought so, but to Quasi-Emperor Hedang, it just sounded like this kid was showing off. But this is the successor I chose, so what else can I do? I have to just accept it. Boy, you should be the legendary ancient holy body. After getting back to business, Emperor Hedang's attitude also became serious. Hearing this, Wu Yifan did not hide anything and nodded directly. An expression of as expected also appeared on the face of the Quasi-Emperor Hedang, and then he continued. Indeed, only the legendary ancient saint body can have such terrifying physical strength. According to legend, the ancient saint body can be so powerful that it can even tear the great emperor apart with its bare hands. It's just that the ancient sacred body has the innate restriction. Only by collecting some specific natural treasures can the innate restriction be opened, thus achieving the legendary effect of tearing the great emperor apart with bare hands. And I happen to have a treasure that can help the ancient saint body break the 8th level of restriction. Since you have inherited my legacy, I will lend you a helping hand. After saying that, the Quasi-Emperor Hedang stretched out a finger, and a ball of light shot out from the Quasi-Emperor Hedang's finger and fell directly into Wu Yifan's mind. Suddenly, Wu Yifan felt a huge amount of memory coming towards him. Inheritance is not just about resources, but also about the insights and combat experience of that realm, so this is why many people's combat effectiveness can be greatly improved after obtaining the inheritance of a powerful person. However, inheritance can only be carried out after death. Thank you, Senior. Having received the inheritance bestowed by the Hedang Quasi-Emperor, Wu Yifan was fully confident that if he were to face the 3 holy kings again now, he could easily kill them. No need to thank me, this is your chance. It's a pity that I can't live to see this golden age. Maybe you can break the curse of not being able to become an emperor. The Quasi-Emperor Hedang waved his hand, then looked at Wu Yifan and spoke. Well, I don't have much time left. If that's the case, I'll help you again. After saying this, in the mind of the Quasi-Emperor Hedang, several natural treasures flew out from his storage ring and rushed towards Wu Yifan. When countless natural treasures approached Wu Yifan, they were transformed into the purest energy under the control of the Hedang Quasi-Emperor and poured into Wu Yifan's body. Wu Yifan did not hesitate and directly activated the internal skills. With the help of the vast Quasi-Emperor, the 8th level restriction of the ancient holy body in his body was quietly broken, and his realm was recovering rapidly, and he soon returned to the peak of the saint. As about an hour passed, the body of the Hedang Quasi-Emperor began to become increasingly illusory. Finally, when the Hedang Quasi-Emperor was about to disappear, the 8th level of restriction in Wu Yifan's body was finally broken. At this point, the combat effectiveness of the ancient saint body has been completely restored to a terrifying level that is invincible under the Quasi-Emperor. After receiving Wu Yifan's feedback, Wu Hao's physical strength outside also began to surge. Although he didn't know to what extent, Wu Hao could feel that it was definitely stronger than his current level of cultivation. In other words, now Wu Hao can be invincible against the Great Emperor just by relying on his physical strength, and can even compete with the Great Emperor. Tisk, 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 I really look forward to the day when all the restrictions on the ancient saint body are released. When that day comes, my own body will be able to tear the immortal emperor apart with my bare hands. Wu Hao thought to himself. After breaking through to the Great Emperor, Wu Hao also knew the realms above the Great Emperor, namely Red Dust Immortal, True Immortal, Golden Immortal, Deluo Golden Immortal, Immortal King, Immortal Sovereign, Immortal Venerable, and Immortal Emperor. And according to what Wu Hao knew, even the ancient holy body was not the pinnacle. It only needed to collect suitable natural treasures to help the ancient holy body advance. However, Wu Hao did not know what kind of physique the ancient holy body would have after it advanced. In fact, the author hasn't thought it through yet. Thank you, Senior. One day I will make your name resound throughout the entire profound heaven world. Watching the body of the Hedang Quasi Emperor slowly turning into nothingness, Wu Yifan bowed seriously. After all, he had received the favor of the Hedang Quasi Emperor, so he had to repay this cause and effect. At the same time, outside the Inheritance Tower, because the entire secret realm is based on the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor, now that the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor has been obtained, the Hedang secret realm will naturally disappear. The monks waiting outside the Inheritance Tower were teleported out one after another before they could even react. The same goes for Wu Yifan in the Inheritance Tower. He will be teleported out directly among the crowd. This is naturally a method set up by Quasi Emperor Hedang to protect his inheritors from having their inheritance snatched away by powerful people. At this moment, outside the vast secret realm, because the original vast secret realm was also about to close, people from all major forces came to the vast secret realm and waited for the talented disciples of their respective forces to come out. However, when they saw the talented disciples from their respective sects coming out, they were shocked. After all, under normal circumstances, it should take about 2.5 months for them to come out. Before they had time to think about it, the disciples of the 4 holy places came to their holy place elders and told them the news that the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor had been obtained by others. After hearing the news, the elders of the 4 holy places did not hesitate at all and immediately sealed off the place. After all, as a legendary Quasi Emperor, Hedang's strength was naturally needless to say. It is said that he has reached the level of a half-step great emperor. Even the holy lords of the 4 holy lands may not be his match without the help of the emperor weapon. Therefore, the 4 holy lands will never let the inheritance of the great Quasi Emperor be obtained by someone who does not belong to the 4 holy lands. However, their speed was far slower than Wu Hao's. The moment Wu Yifan came out, he was taken away by Wu Hao without anyone even noticing. Chapter 40. After checking and finding that no one present had received the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor, the elders of the 4 holy places all looked extremely gloomy. The holy lords of the 4 holy lands also arrived at the scene soon, but now they looked pale, as if they had received too many rewards. But even so, the people present did not dare to say anything. Emperor Murong and the others looked around the crowd and sighed, and after a long time they sighed and said, "Okay, let them leave. The person who took the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor is not here." "What, Holy Lord? We surrounded this place immediately. How could they escape?" A Supreme Elder had a look of shock on his face. After all, as a Supreme, he would definitely be able to sense if someone left. But Li Bai shook his head. Perhaps it was a method left behind by Quasi Emperor Hedang. After all, as the strongest person in Profound Heaven World back then, even we were extremely afraid of Quasi Emperor Hedang's methods. He was afraid that we would persecute his descendants, so maybe he used other methods to make his descendants leave. After hearing Li Bai's words, the people from the 4 holy places found it hard to believe, but there seemed to be no other explanation except this one. As for the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor, if there is really someone inside who has obtained the inheritance of the Hedang Quasi Emperor, the 4 holy lords will be able to feel the breath of the inheritance and find the other party. If you can't find it now, it only means that the other person is really not here. At this time, So Kioran looked around and found that Wu Yifan was not among them. She quickly guessed that perhaps it was her grandson who inherited the legacy. At the same time, he was extremely glad that his grandson had escaped first, otherwise the 4 great saints might not let his grandson go. Unless his grandson joined the 4 holy places, the 4 great saints would probably kill him directly. The next second, So Kioran seemed to sense something and looked not far away. Not far away, she saw Murong Shui looking at So Kioran with a gloomy face. That expression seemed like she was shocked that So Kioran could survive. So Kioran had known long ago that it was Murong Shui who was targeting her behind her back, so she was not very surprised. She quickly came in front of Murong Shui, raised her eyebrows, and spoke with disdain. "You seem shocked I made it out alive. How is that possible? We are from the same holy land. How could I be surprised that you could come out alive? I am just surprised that you actually broke through to the great sage level. I guess you must have gotten a great opportunity in the secret realm, right?" Murong Shui took a deep breath and forced a smile before speaking. But in So Kioran's opinion, it can only be described in 2 words, hypocrisy. "Don't pretend. I know you sent Chen Feng and the other 2. Wait, when I become the saint of the Wanhua Holy Land, I will play you to death." So Kioran leaned close to Murong Shui's ear and spoke with a very disdainful tone. The people of the Wu family have always been vindictive, and this is naturally inherited from So Ki-oran. Although Wu Hao is also vindictive, it is nothing compared to So Ki-oran. Hearing that So Ki-oran actually talked about this, Mirong Shue's pupils trembled slightly. Originally, she just thought that So Ki-oran was lucky enough not to meet Chen Feng and the other two. But judging from what So Ki-oran said now, it is likely that So Ki-oran has already met Chen Feng and the other two, and there is a high probability that Chen Feng and the other two have encountered an accident. Originally, Mirong Shui had finally broken through to the peak of sainthood, and thought that even if she didn't kill So Ki-oran, she could still compete with So Ki-oran for the position of saintess. However, she didn't expect that So Ki-oran would actually kill Chen Feng and the other two and successfully advance to the great sainthood. You have to know that that is the great saint realm. Even among the saints in the history of Wanhua Holy Land, few can break through to the great saint realm before the age of 100. Now So Ki-oran has become one of them. I am afraid that So Ki-oran can firmly sit on the position of saint. Thinking of this, Mirong Shui couldn't hold back her murderous intent for a moment, but she soon remembered something, took a deep breath and said, "If that's the case, then let's just wait and see." After saying these harsh words, Mirong Shui turned around and left. She had to prevent So Ki-oran from becoming the saint of the Wanhua Holy Land within the next 9 years. Otherwise, as long as So Ki-oran became the saint, she would definitely not be able to stay in the Wanhua Holy Land. You have to know that he had provoked a lot of enemies outside, and it was precisely because they were afraid of the power of the Wanhua Holy Land that they did not act rashly against him. Otherwise, Mirong Shui would have died 800 times already. Looking at Mirong Shui's leaving back, So Ki-oran was indifferent. To her, Mirong Shui was just an insignificant person. If she hadn't framed her, she would probably have nothing to do with her in this life. My wife is so mad at me, do you want me to get rid of her? Seeing his wife being insulted like this, Wu Hao, the god of pure love, almost couldn't help himself and wanted to kill Mirong Shui directly. But he was stopped by So Ki-oran, whose expression was full of sneer. "Hubby, this is my enemy, let me deal with her. If you kill her like this, wouldn't it be too easy for her?" Looking at his wife's expression, Wu Hao just silently mourned for Mirong Shui for a second. By provoking his own wife, Mirong Shui had provoked a tough guy. After failing to find the successor of the Hedang Quasi Emperor, the people from the 4 Holy Lands were very angry, but they could only let everyone present leave. As for So Ki-oran, after returning to the Holy Land, she spent some time with Wu Hao, filling the emptiness and loneliness of a whole year. As for Wu Yifan, after being taken away by Wu Hao, he could not wait to find the 3 powerful saint kings who had been chasing him, intending to take revenge. At the same time, the 3 early saint kings who had previously chased Wu Yifan were looking for Wu Yifan, but they did not expect that Wu Yifan would appear in front of them. They could not help laughing. "He, it's easy to get it. Boy, do you want to follow us, or do we kill you and then take you away?" The leader of the 3 black-robed monks stood up, unaware that Wu Yifan's aura had recovered to its peak or even surpassed it. When Wu Yifan heard their words, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. After a long time, he spoke with an extremely proud tone. "I think there is a third option, which is that I destroy you, and then let you take me to your lair. After destroying your lair, I will destroy you." Chapter 41. Hearing Wu Yifan's extremely arrogant words, the 3 of them were stunned, and after a long time they spoke angrily. "You are so brave. Come and die." The moment they finished speaking, the 3 of them attacked at the same time. They had witnessed Wu Yifan's weirdness before. In a short period of time, he had reached the level of rivaling the Holy King. If it weren't for the fact that the 3 of them had a secret technique of 3-person combined attack that was enough to rival the Holy King late-stage powerhouse, they would not be able to do anything to Wu Yifan. It was also to suppress Wu Yifan's talent and prevent him from surpassing them that they could only keep chasing Wu Yifan, wanting to quickly destroy him and bring him back. Otherwise, if their saint son knew about this, they would probably die. Seeing the 3 of them attacking together, Wu Yifan also clenched his fists, looking very excited. "I can use you to test my current strength, so I will use 10% of my strength first." After Wu Yifan finished speaking, he threw a punch. The most powerful part of the ancient saint body was the physical strength, which was also what Wu Yifan relied on now. As Wu Yifan threw out his ordinary punch, although the 3 men's expressions could not be seen through the masks, from the shaking of their bodies, it could be seen that they were definitely scared. "No, stop it." The 3 of them could only block it hastily, but were still knocked away by Wu Yifan's punch, and blood splattered in the sky. Wu Yifan was very satisfied with his current strength. Just 10% of his strength was enough to seriously injure the 3 early Saint Kings. If he burst out with all his strength, even the Supreme would be defeated. Okay, I won't play with you guys anymore, let's finish this quickly. Wu Yifan no longer hesitated at this moment, and planned to seize the time to eliminate these 3 people, and then follow the clues to find the forces behind them and destroy the forces behind them. For a force that can cultivate 3 holy kings, I think its foundation should not be too small. Thinking that he could rob again, no, it was to do justice for the heavens. Wu Yifan's fighting spirit became even more excited. Heavenly Emperor Fist. Wu Yifan threw a punch, using only 30% of his strength to cripple them, so he didn't need to use 100% of his strength. Not good, use the combined attack secret technique. The 3 men's faces suddenly changed, and they could feel that this punch was definitely not something they could block under normal circumstances. So without hesitation, the 3 of them directly performed the secret technique of combined attack that they had learned. The surface of their skin turned scarlet red, and the next second countless blood spread out from their bodies and gathered in front of them. And soon they merged and condensed into a phantom. This was the secret technique of combined attack that the 3 of them had learned, the blood and soul fusion attack. It can allow the blood souls of the 3 of them to merge together, and then summon the blood soul god to unleash power far beyond their own. After seeing them perform the combined attack secret technique, Wu Yifan's expression did not show any fear, he even found it a little funny. He was a little afraid before, or if the 3 of them had directly performed the blood soul fusion attack at the beginning, he would never have been able to escape. But now, even if he used the blood soul fusion attack, the 3 of them would definitely not be his opponents. As the blood soul fusion attack was launched, the blood soul god summoned by the 3 people directly lowered a finger, and the next second a blood-colored light shot out from his fingertips and directly collided with Wu Yifan's Heavenly Emperor Fist. It's a pity that it was overwhelmed by Wu Yifan's Heavenly Emperor Fist in just a moment. The Heavenly Emperor Fist contained terrifying power and attacked the Blood Soul God. Before it was shattered, the eyes of the Blood Soul God who was originally summoned lit up, as if he had discovered something. But before he could even open his mouth, he was killed by the Heavenly Emperor Fist. After killing the incarnation of the Blood Soul God, the Heavenly Emperor Fist's power remained undiminished, and it attacked the 3 people directly. The 3 people didn't even have the slightest chance to react, and were directly knocked away by the Heavenly Emperor Fist, which smashed into more than a dozen mountains before it stopped. By the time Wu Yifan arrived, the 3 men had lost all their spiritual energy and were completely destroyed by Wu Yifan's punch. Fortunately, the 3 of them were strong enough, otherwise they would have been killed by Wu Yifan. Looking at the 3 people who were seriously injured and dying, there was no mercy in Wu Yifan's eyes. If he had not escaped by chance, he would probably have died long ago. If someone doesn't offend me, I won't offend him. If someone offends me, I will kill him. This is Wu Yifan's consistent purpose, which comes from the Wu family rules. Okay, next, I'll ask the questions and you'll answer them. If I'm not satisfied with your answers, I can't guarantee that I will do anything. Wu Yifan came up to the 3 people, squatted in front of them and spoke nonchalantly. The leader of the 3 shouted without hesitation. You can just dream on. I will never tell you any information. Oh, really? Wu Yifan sneered, then threw a punch, killing him directly. At the moment of killing him, the faces of the 2 people next door were full of shock and fear. It was obvious that they did not expect Wu Yifan to be so decisive. Shouldn't Wu Yifan ask first, and then they refuse, and then promise some benefits, such as letting them live, and then they will tell about the Blood Soul sect? What is the situation with Wu Yifan killing directly now? What about you 2? Have you figured out what to say? Wu Yifan looked at the other 2 and continued to ask. The other 2 knew that Wu Yifan was really willing to kill people if they disagreed with him, so they didn't dare to hide it. One of them was about to tell the information about the Blood Soul sect. The next second, as if sensing something, his body exploded, and the filth in his body splashed everywhere. Wu Yifan was not splashed with filth because he was protected by the power. However, after seeing this scene, the other person was so frightened that he didn't know what to say. Wu Yifan frowned slightly, feeling puzzled. He had originally planned to find out the other party's backers from the 3 people and then make long-term plans. However, he did not expect that the forces behind them were so cautious and actually set up restrictions in their bodies. Once the information about the Blood Soul sect was revealed, they would explode and die. As for you, never mind. You look like you are frightened out of your wits. Just kill you. Wu Yifan looked at the remaining person, but seeing the dazed look on his face, he sighed after a long time and planned to kill him directly, but he didn't expect that the other party would start shouting at this time. Don't be so delusional. I will never tell you any information about the Blood Soul sect. Even if you kill me, I will not tell you that the Blood Soul sect is located in the Burial Valley. No matter how much you abuse me, I will not tell you that there are countless quasi-emperor peak powerhouses and countless emperor weapons in the Blood Soul sect. Hearing the other party's words, Wu Yifan was stunned. It was obvious that he had not expected such an operation to happen. Holy Son of Blood Soul sect, damn, I forgot I could be like this. When the Blood Soul sect's restriction was set up, it was only set that the person under the restriction would not voluntarily reveal the information about the Blood Soul sect, but it was not set up to make them reveal it passively. Obviously, the Blood Soul sect's envoy had thought of this loophole and revealed the Blood Soul sect's information in this way, intending to buy his own chance of survival from Wu Yifan. Chapter 42. Interesting. Hearing the information and performance from the Blood Soul sect messenger in front of him, Wu Yifan couldn't help but nodded with satisfaction. The only remaining Blood Soul sect messenger asked hurriedly. Sir, now that I have spoken out, can you spare my life? Of course, but I'll spare you this time. The next time we meet, you'll be dead. Wu Yifan looked at the other party with interest and said. The Blood Soul sect envoy nodded quickly upon hearing that. Don't worry, sir. I will leave the central region now and find a remote place. I will never meet you again in this life. You better be. Wu Yifan stood up and then disappeared in front of the Blood Soul sect messenger. The Blood Soul sect envoy took a deep breath, suppressed his injuries a little, then stood up and planned to leave. He swore that he would never fight Wu Yifan again in his life. It's not like he could offend such a terrifying genius, and it's only been a few years, less than 100 years, and Wu Yifan has obtained the power beyond the Holy Realm. I'm afraid that if Wu Yifan is given time, even the Blood Soul sect will not be able to do anything to him. However, just when the Blood Soul sect's messenger was about to leave, he was shrouded in a shadow. When he looked up, he suddenly saw Wu Yifan appearing in front of him with a smile. Hello, nice to see you again. FK your mother, if you can't afford it, don't play. When the Blood Soul sect's messenger saw this scene, it was clear to him that Wu Yifan had no intention of giving him a chance to survive. So he gritted his teeth and planned to self-destruct. Even if it was self-destruction, even if he died, he would make Wu Yifan lose a layer of skin. It's just a pity that due to the absolute gap in strength, he couldn't even self-destruct, and was slapped by Wu Yifan, turning his body into a bloody mist. You useless piece of shit. Do you really think I will let you go? Don't be stupid. Wu Yifan said with a cold expression that they had been chasing him for so long and almost beat him to death. How could he let them go just because they revealed the information about the Blood Soul sect? Moreover, the most fearful thing in the process of cultivating immortals is being merciful and lenient. An enemy is an enemy, and it is either you die or I live, so Wu Yifan did not feel despicable for what he did. After all, only the winner is qualified to say whether it is despicable or not. But I didn't expect the Blood Soul sect to be so powerful. They actually hid in the Burial Valley, and there are also strong people at the peak of the quasi-emperor level. From this point of view, I am afraid that I will not be able to take revenge in the short term. Wu Yifan is not a reckless man, never has been, so after learning about the powerful strength of the Blood Soul sect, Wu Yifan pondered for a while and decided to at least lift the restrictions of the ancient saint body to the 9th layer and reach the quasi-emperor grade of Immortal Deo before he could seek revenge on the Blood Soul sect, otherwise he would most likely capsize in the gutter. On the other side, in the Burial God Valley, the Burial God Valley was known as the most terrifying forbidden area in the entire profound heaven world, because in ancient times an extremely terrifying and tragic battle broke out in the Burial God Valley, and countless supreme quasi-emperors and great emperors fell here. The terrifying blood energy lingered here, generating terrifying evil spirits, so even the supreme and quasi-emperors dared not set foot in the Burial God Valley again. What no one expected was that the Blood Soul Gate was actually located within the God Burial Valley. There was a huge door frame standing in the center of the Valley of the Buried Gods. Although the door frame looked ordinary, one only needed to pass through it to enter the headquarters of the Blood Soul sect. Just after Wu Yifan killed the 3 Blood Soul sect messengers, the 3 soul lamps in the Soul Lamp Hall, which was in charge of the life and death of all the members of the Blood Soul sect, went out. The elder of the Blood Soul sect who saw this scene glanced at it indifferently, then raised his hand and sucked the 3 soul lamps into his hand. The next second, a small rune formation appeared in the hands of the Blood Soul sect's elder. As the Blood Soul sect's elder performed the Blood Soul secret technique, countless tiny blood-colored threads flew towards the distance through the void. They soon arrived outside the Blood Soul Gate and the God Burial Valley. In just a few minutes they arrived at the place where the 3 Blood Soul Gate messengers were killed. At this moment, Wu Yifan has not left here yet. Just when Wu Yifan was about to turn around and leave, he felt something and frowned. Then, before he could react, he saw 3 thin blood-red lines coming from a distance. The long blood-colored line fell directly on the place where the 3 Blood Soul sect messengers were killed. In an instant, it was seen that under the traction of the long blood-colored line, the 3 Blood Soul sect messengers who were blasted into a blood dance by Wu Yifan were slowly resurrecting. But when Wu Yifan saw this scene, his brows furrowed tightly. Demon Dao secret technique, is this the work of the Blood Soul sect? At the moment Wu Yifan finished speaking, the 3 Blood Soul sect's messengers were also resurrected, but their expressions and behaviors were extremely strange, looking like puppets, with bloodshot eyes, and the aura on their bodies was much stronger than the previous Saint King, and they had already stepped into the Supreme Realm. Watching this scene, Wu Yifan felt extremely heavy in his heart. You know, that was resurrection. Even the Great Emperor couldn't resurrect a dead person, but the Blood Soul sect could do it. There was no need to explain the problems involved. I'm afraid the power behind the Blood Soul sect is far beyond Wu Yifan's imagination. While Wu Yifan was thinking, the 3 Blood Soul sect messengers seemed to have discovered their target and rushed towards Wu Yifan with roars. Seeing this, Wu Yifan had no time to think and could only passively choose to fight. Although the 3 Blood Soul sect's messengers were resurrected and strengthened to the early supreme level, they existed as puppets or only knew how to fight after their resurrection. They fought without any strategy at all, so Wu Yifan quickly found their flaws and killed them one by one. After killing the last Blood Soul sect's messenger with one punch, Wu Yifan's expression became extremely solemn. He was betting that the Blood Soul sect's messenger would not be resurrected again, otherwise, even he would not be their opponent. The gap between the Supreme and the Quasi-Emperor is huge. Even if Wu Yifan has extremely rich combat experience, it is impossible for him to defeat the Quasi-Emperor just by relying on the ancient saint body to unlock the 8th level of restriction. At least he has to wait until his immortal Dao cultivation reaches the peak of Supreme, and with the cooperation of the ancient saint body, he can defeat a Quasi-Emperor, even if he is a puppet. Fortunately, the messenger of the Blood Soul sect did not resurrect in the end. Seeing this, Wu Yifan left here with peace of mind. After Wu Yifan killed the Blood Soul sect's envoy again, the Blood Soul sect's elder who had made the move opened his eyes and muttered to himself. He who can kill the early stage Saint King after his resurrection is at least a leader in the Supreme Realm. Our Blood Soul sect should not be high profile for the time being. It will not be too late to kill him after the Lord is resurrected. When he said this, the Blood Soul sect elder's gaze couldn't help but look towards a red mountain deep in the Blood Soul sect. From a distance it looked like a red mountain, but if you looked closely you could see countless red blood surging, which looked extremely creepy and terrifying. Chapter 43. Wu Hao naturally didn't know about the Blood Soul sect, or it could be said that Wu Hao was not able to handle the Blood Soul sect's affairs at his current level. Wu Hao only knew that within the feedback from this period of time, his cultivation had already broken through to the peak of Great Emperor. He was only one step away from becoming immortal, a terrifying existence that could look down upon the entire profound heaven world. I don't know when more descendants of the Son of Destiny will come. If so, maybe I can break through to a more powerful realm faster. Wu Hao thought to himself that after his wife had resolved the matter of the Wanhua Holy Land, he would return to the Wu family as soon as possible to urge the Wu family to start having children. On the other side, Mirong Shui ordered people to start investigating So Kioran's experiences over the years. She didn't believe that So Kioran didn't have any flaws at all. In the Wanhua Holy Land, besides not being able to become a saint due to lack of strength and talent, there is another possibility that one cannot become a saint, and that is if one has done something morally corrupt or damaged the interests of the Wanhua Holy Land, then one cannot become a saint of the Wanhua Holy Land. In the past, the Wanhua Holy Land had a saint who was extremely talented, but because she fell in love with someone, she was deposed from her position as saint by the Wanhua Holy Land. Mirong Shui just didn't believe that So Kioran had never done anything immoral over the years. Finally, with Mirong Shui's unremitting efforts, 9 years passed. During these 9 years, Mirong Shue's heart was on the verge of collapse. If she couldn't find something that could prevent So Kyoran from becoming a saint, then even if her father was Mirong Huang, it would be difficult for her to become a saint of the Wanhua Holy Land. Just when Mirong Shui was about to collapse, things finally took a turn for the better. "Miss, we have found something here." Soon a servant came to Mirong Shui and respectfully handed her a photo stone. Mirong Shui was almost in despair at this time. Even if someone said that she could become a saint by offering her body, she would take off her clothes and lie on the bed without hesitation, not to mention a mere photo stone. But after seeing what was inside the photo stone, Mirong Shui's eyes suddenly lit up. The things above were pictures of Wu Hao and So Kyoran's wedding day. He, So Kyoran didn't expect you to get married. If people found out that you got married before becoming a saint, how many people do you think would agree to let you become a saint? In the Holy Land of Wanhua, the saint is not only a symbol of talent and strength, in fact, she is more like a star, revered by the entire Holy Land of Wanhua. Imagine if one day people found out that the female star they have liked for a long time is married, what kind of horrible actions they would take. I'm afraid that by then, even if the top leaders of Wanhua Holy Land wanted to protect So Kyoran, they wouldn't be able to do it, unless So Kyoran could break through to the Saint King level during this period of time. But how is that possible? At the same time, So Kyoran, boom. I have finally broken through to the peak of Great Sage. I am only one step away from breaking through to Saint King. So Kyoran broke through from the late stage of Great Sage to the peak of Great Sage, and was only one step away from breaking through to the Holy King realm. At this moment, So Kyoran had surpassed the talent of every saint maiden in the history of Wanhua Holy Land. I'm afraid it's not impossible to become a great emperor. Of course, all this is thanks to Wu Hao's help. Honey, I love you so much. So Kyoran hugged Wu Hao who was lying on the bed and started to nibble on him. Wu Hao didn't dislike it. He spoke while stroking his trembling shadow with one hand. Okay, I remember there are still 3 days to choose who will be the newest saint of the Wanhua Holy Land. Hurry up and solve the problems here, and then go back to the Wu family. After all, Rolong and the others miss you too. During these 9 years, the Wu Chamber of Commerce has successfully stabilized its presence in the 5 regions of Profound Heaven World, and has successfully connected mobile phone signals to every part of Profound Heaven World. This is why Wu Hao can see videos from all over Profound Heaven World in the central region. As for whether there is any fault to be found? Of course not. After all, the 4 holy masters had just been beaten up by Wu Hao, so how could they possibly take action against the Wu Chamber of Commerce? If the 4 holy places did not take action, the other forces naturally would not dare to do so. So in this way, the Wu Chamber of Commerce successfully completed its layout in the entire Profound Heaven World. Hearing this, So Kyoran's mind flashed with the cute face of Wu Rolong as a baby. She then nodded seriously and agreed. Hubby, I promise you that I will announce your existence in 3 days, and then follow you back to the Southern Domain. After all, Southern Domain is their beginning and their roots. Although they could now contact each other directly by phone, So Kyoran did not do so. Instead, she planned to wait until they met in person. After all, if you meet over the phone, the surprise will be gone. But at this moment, Wu Hao's body trembled, which made So Kyoran a little curious. Honey, what's wrong with you? It's okay, it's just a small breakthrough. Wu Hao waved his hand nonchalantly and said. Hearing this, So Kyoran looked at Wu Hao as if he was a monster. Hubby, you really are a monster. Thanks for the compliment. Wu Hao also waved his hand humbly and agreed. Just now, with the help of feedback, Wu Hao's cultivation successfully broke through the bottleneck of Great Emperor and reached the terrifying realm of immortality in the mortal world. In this state, Wu Hao felt that he could easily destroy the entire Profound Heaven World, and Wu Hao knew that this was not an illusion, but that he could really do it. Of course, the most important thing is that the skills that Wu Hao practiced are so powerful that Wu Hao can be absolutely invincible in the same realm. This is why he can destroy a lower realm with the realm of a red dust immortal. Okay, prepare for what will happen in 3 days. I will take you back to the Southern Domain in 3 days. Yeah, I understand. Soon, 3 days passed in silence, and during these 3 days, the entire Wanhua Holy Land gradually became lively. Originally, all the disciples of the Wanhua Holy Land were immersed in their cultivation, and there were few things that could draw them out. The election of the Holy Maiden was one of them. Who do you think will be the saint this year? I think senior sister Su is more likely. After all, Senior Sister Su broke through to the Great Saint realm 9 years ago, and now she is probably even more unfathomable. If I don't choose Senior Sister Su, I will suspect that there is something fishy going on. Indeed, I also feel that Senior Sister Su has a greater chance of becoming the saint. The others are still at the saint level now, and there is no way they can compete with Senior Sister Su for the position of saintess. I'm going to say this right now. If Senior Sister Su isn't a saint, I'll chop her head off. Listening to the discussions of the Wanhua Holy Land disciples along the way, and knowing that they all agreed that So Kyoran was the final candidate for this saint maiden selection, Mirong Shui couldn't help but sneer. Just wait, So Kyoran, I'm going to expose your hypocritical face. In the previous selections of saints in the Wanhua Holy Land, there have been cases where someone fell in love with someone and had a relationship with him/her after becoming a quasi-saint. Then, the Wanhua Holy Land abolished her position as a quasi-saint. Mirong Shui believed that So Kyoran would end up like this in the end. Chapter 44. At this time in the Wanhua Holy Land, the top leaders of the Wanhua Holy Land had already gathered together. After all, every selection of the Holy Maiden in the Wanhua Holy Land was a well-known event in the Wanhua Holy Land. Emperor Mirong was sitting among the high-level officials of the Wanhua Holy Land. Although he looked extremely serious, his face was pale. The injuries he suffered from Wu Hao 10 years ago had not yet healed. But even so, he did not show anything. After all, today was a big day for the Wanhua Holy Land and no mistakes could be made. I don't know how Xioxiu is preparing. If she is not well prepared, it will be difficult for me to arrange for her to become a saint even if I am her father. Emperor Mirong thought to himself. His status in the Wanhua Holy Land is already very high. If he can make his daughter Mirong Shui a saint, it will make his position as the Holy Lord more stable. Therefore, compared to So Kyoran who has better talent, Emperor Mirong wants his daughter to become a saint even more. However, although Emperor Mirong is the Holy Lord, he does not have the final say in the entire Wanhua Holy Land. If he rashly does not choose So Kyoran, who has better talent and appearance than Mirong Shui, as the Holy Maiden, it will be difficult to convince the top leaders of the Wanhua Holy Land. Thinking of this, Emperor Mirong began to ponder what to do next. At the same time, in So Kyoran's dojo, So Kyoran lay in Wu Hao's arms. She raised her head and kissed Wu Hao before standing up and speaking. Hubby, if that's the case, then I'll leave first. I'll announce the existence of you and the Wu family after I become a saint. Well, I'll wait for you. Wu Hao also glanced at So Kyoran, but he was thinking about something in his eyes. He was afraid that this selection would not be so easy. But no matter what, if his wife was wronged, he, as a husband, would never sit idly by, not to mention that he had already surpassed the great emperor and reached the realm of the mortal immortal. If the Wanhua Holy Land is looking for death, I don't mind sending the entire Wanhua Holy Land to hell. Soon, So Kyoran put on her clothes and rushed towards the main hall of Wanhua Holy Land. At the same time, in the main hall of the Wanhua Holy Land, the two people who were previously selected as quasi-saints, Moki and Lin Yawan, also came to the main hall of the Holy Land, but both knew that they came just as a formality. After all, although both of them had made great efforts in the past 10 years and had broken through to the realm of saints, they were nothing in front of So Kyoran and could only watch So Kyoran become the saint of the Wanhua Holy Land. As for Mirong Shui, she was sitting where she was supposed to be with her eyes closed, not knowing what she was thinking about. Inside and outside the Holy Land Hall were filled with disciples of the Wanhua Holy Land. The inner disciples and direct disciples were inside, and the outer disciples were outside. Without exception, they all came to witness who would become the Holy Maiden of the Wanhua Holy Land. Of course, in fact, they already have a very clear answer in their hearts, that is So Kyoran. If So Kyoran is not a saint, they will all suspect that there is a conspiracy. Soon, with the arrival of So Kyoran, the disciples at the scene shouted excitedly. Saint Su, Saint Su, Saint Su. That terrifying sound could be heard clearly even outside the Wanhua Holy Land, and after seeing So Kyoran, the disciples of the Wanhua Holy Land were so excited that they were like crazy fans. She is beautiful, has a good personality, and is very talented. Who wouldn't like her? Facing the cheers of the disciples on the scene, So Kyoran just smiled gently, then waved her hand and said, Thank you for your love, but the matter of the saint has not been completely decided yet, so please cheer after I become the saint. Saint Su is so beautiful, I want to give birth to a child with her. Saint Su is so mighty. If she wasn't a saint, I would stand upside down on a red stone. Long life Saint Su! Amid the cheers of the crowd, Soki Orin walked step by step into the Holy Land Hall, looked at the high-level officials of the Wanhua Holy Land sitting at the front of the hall, and smiled euphemistically. Greetings to the elders, and to the Holy Lord. Well, Jia Ran, since you are here, please take a seat first. The elders naturally had a very good impression of Soki Orin, so when they saw Soki Orin coming in, they hurriedly greeted her. The venue had been arranged in advance, and Soki Orin sat next to Murong Shui. Soon Soki Orin also sat in her seat. When she saw Murong Shui with her eyes closed, she couldn't help but frowned. According to her understanding of Murong Shui would never be so calm. Murong Shui would only behave like this in one situation, and that is when she was sure of winning. Judging from strength, talent, and appearance, Murong Shui was obviously no match for him. In this situation, there was only one way for Murong Shui to turn the tide, that is, Murong Shui found evidence that was unfavorable to her. Could it be that they found evidence that my husband and I were married? But that shouldn't be the case. My husband and I lived in seclusion in the mountains back then, so no one should know that my husband and I were married. Could it be that someone just happened to pass by and I didn't notice it? No matter what, if Murong Shui is really exposed, I don't mind giving her a big gift. Thinking of this, Soki Orin closed her eyes and began to wait. As the time reached 12 noon, Emperor Murong slowly opened his eyes and spoke. Everyone, noon has arrived. I declare that the selection of the saintess of the Wanhua Holy Land has begun. All disciples of the Wanhua Holy Land are requested to take out your mobile phones and vote for your favorite prospective saintess. As Emperor Murong finished speaking, the disciples of the Wanhua Holy Land present took out their mobile phones, opened the official website of the Wanhua Holy Land and began to vote for the 4 prospective saints. Yes, it is mobile voting. After the Wu Chamber of Commerce had been stable in the central region for 5 years, Wu Qixin held a press conference for the launch of the mobile phone, and within 5 years, he successfully spread the mobile phone throughout the central region. As for Wu Wandao and others, they had also stabilized the Wu Chamber of Commerce and successfully spread the mobile phone throughout the region. As for Murong Huang and others, they found that mobile phones did bring convenience to their lives. In addition, because of Wu Hao's terrifying power, they began to vigorously promote the use of mobile phones among disciples throughout the Wanhua Holy Land. Even the selection of the saint this time was done using mobile phones. It can only be said that the Wanhua Holy Land has kept up with the times this time. Chapter 45. As Emperor Murong finished speaking, the disciples of the entire Wanhua Holy Land began to vote frantically. Of course, the voting qualifications of disciples of different levels were different. An outer disciple's vote is really just 1 vote, an inner disciple can cast 10 votes, a direct disciple can cast 100 votes, an outer elder can cast 1,000 votes, an inner elder can cast 10,000 votes, a guardian elder can cast 50,000 votes, and as the Holy Lord, Emperor Murong can cast 100,000 votes. Of course, if Emperor Murong relied on himself, there would be no way to guarantee that Murong Shui would become a saint, so Emperor Murong also ordered the people in his camp to give Murong Shui. So the current situation is that Moki and Lin Yawan are obviously the least popular. As of half an hour later, they have only just broken 10,000 votes, and that's only because some people voted for them out of pity for them. The difference between Murong Shui and Soki Orin was not as big as imagined. It was just a simple difference of 100,000 votes. Soki Orin got 200,000, Murong Shui got 100,000. Of course, if it weren't for Murong Wang's arrangement, I'm afraid all 300,000 tickets would have belonged to Soki Orin, but the current situation is still not optimistic. The gap between Soki Orin and Murong Shui was always 100,000 votes, and Murong Shui could not get ahead no matter what. Seeing this, Murong Huang no longer concealed it and directly cast his 100,000 votes for Murong Shui. This is based on the assumption that the gap between Murong Shui and Soki Orin is not too big, otherwise Emperor Murong would definitely not vote for Murong Shui. But just after Emperor Murong made his move, the 5 guardian elders also began to vote. 4 of them voted for Soki Orin, and 1 voted for Murong Shui, directly pulling the votes back and surpassing Murong Shui by 50,000 votes. Soon, an hour of voting time passed, and the final rankings appeared in the Holy Land Hall. Moki ranked last with 20,000 votes, Lin Yawan ranked third with 50,000 votes, Murong Shui ranked second with 350,000 votes, and Soki Orin ranked first with 450,000 votes. Seeing this scene, All the disciples of Wanhua Holy Land cheered. Senior Sister Sua is awesome. I said Senior Sister Sua is the saint. Long live Senior Sister Sue. Thank you Senior Sister Sue for not letting me go to Kishi. That's what I said. If Senior Sister Sue wasn't a saint, then I would suspect that there was something fishy going on in our Wanhua Holy Land. Hearing the disciples' cheers, the elders who voted for Soki Orin also showed satisfied expressions on their faces. After all, they had been optimistic about Soki Orin since she was young, and believed that if Soki Orin could become a saint, she would definitely lead their Wanhua Holy Land to create glory again and restore the ancient glory. Emperor Murong sighed helplessly. Although he had guessed that this was most likely the case, he still felt uncomfortable when it really happened. However, he had no choice but to go against the entire Wanhua Holy Land in order to make his daughter become the Holy Maiden of Wanhua Holy Land. With his strength, he was far from being able to do so. If the disciples of Wanhua Holy Land were to leave for other holy places, it would be a loss for Wanhua Holy Land. Thinking of this, Emperor Murong stood up and was about to announce that Soki Orin was the new saint of the Wanhua Holy Land, but at this moment, Murong Shuet, who had originally closed her eyes, finally stood up and said very decisively, "Wait a minute, I have something else to say." Seeing Murong Shuet standing up, Soki Orin frowned slightly, thinking to herself, is this really the case? It seems that I have to prepare for the worst. Emperor Murong's eyes lit up when he heard this. Could it be that his daughter had some other tricks up her sleeve? Thinking of this, Emperor Murong coughed, and then spoke slowly. "Murong Xu, what do you want to say when you stand up?" Murong Shui walked slowly to the middle of the Holy Land Hall, then looked at the people present and spoke slowly. "What I am going to say next is related to your Saint Su." Hearing that Murong Shui was pointing the finger at Soki Orin, many of Soki Orin's followers present couldn't help but get angry. What's going on with Murong Shui? Is she angry out of shame? Or is she planning to expose some dirty laundry? Who cares? Our Saint Su is the best. We will always protect the best Saint Su. I want to see what kind of ivory can come out of Murong Shui's dog mouth. Many people looked at Murong Shui with unfriendly eyes. They wanted to see what tricks Murong Shui could come up with. But Murong Shui didn't care. She took out the photo stone, looked at the top leaders of Wanhua Holy Land and spoke. "Everyone, here is a wedding video of our Saint Su. I think we should let you see what Saint Su has deceived us about." After saying that, before anyone could react, Murong Shui directly released the image in the photo stone. I saw a series of pictures emerging from the photo stone. The picture on it was the picture of the wedding day of Soki Orin and Wu Hao. After seeing the content on the picture, the disciples of Wanhua Holy Land present were shocked. Because they never expected that Soki Orin was actually married. You know, Soki Orin was the goddess in their hearts. Now they were heartbroken after knowing that Soki Orin was married. Soki Orin's expression seemed extremely calm when she saw this scene. She stayed in the Holy Land of 10,000 flowers just for one result, a result of becoming a saint. And from the beginning, she had no intention of hiding it from the people of the Holy Land of 10,000 flowers. She was just waiting to announce this matter after becoming a saint. It is obvious that Murong Shui's current actions have given Soki Orin a good opportunity. Without waiting for Soki Orin to speak, Murong Shui continued speaking aggressively. "Everyone, you have seen that Soki Orin married someone else before she became a saint. This obviously violates the principles of our Wanhua Holy Land. I personally think that Soki Orin is no longer qualified to become a saint. Moreover, I swear on my life that all the images here are real. If you don't believe me, you can go check it out." As Murong Shui finished her words, everyone present fell silent. However, the scene that Murong Shui imagined of the disciples spitting on Soki Orin and asking her to get out after learning the truth did not appear. Instead, everyone spoke with a look of grief on their faces. "Saint Su, we won't hate you just because you're married. You must be happy. That's right. If you, Saint Su, have been wronged, just leave that man and come back to our Wanhua Holy Land. We will always be your family. Yes, although it is very painful, we still want to say from the bottom of our hearts, Saint, you must be happy. Come on, Saint Su, you will always be the best saint in our hearts." Murong Shui? Chapter 46. Murong Shui thought of something and couldn't help but sneer on her face. Yes, the opinions of the disciples are nothing, even though this time the selection of the saint even allowed the disciples to participate in choosing the saint in their minds. But in fact, the most critical factor is still in the hands of the top leaders of Wanhua Holy Land. Even if all the disciples of Wanhua Holy Land voted together, it would only be enough to get 100,000 votes, so the final decision-making power still lies with the top leaders of Wanhua Holy Land. Thinking of this, Murong Shui couldn't help but have a look of hope in her eyes for her father Murong Huang. Murong Huang naturally knew what Murong Shui was thinking, so he coughed before speaking righteously. Quiet. As Emperor Murong spoke, the disciples of the Wanhua Holy Land present finally quieted down and looked at Emperor Murong. Emperor Murong said without hesitation. Everyone, disciples of our Wanhua Holy Land always need to get the approval of the high-level officials of our Wanhua Holy Land before they can get married, especially the saints. But now So Kyoran rashly married a strange man, which has violated the rules of our Wanhua Holy Land. Therefore, I declare that So Kyoran's position as the saint will be abolished this time, and the next best person, Murong Shui, will take her place. Hearing her father's words, Murong Shui felt excited and looked at So Kyoran with eyes full of pride and provocation. But at this moment, the great elder spoke. Holy Lord, this seems a little inappropriate. Jia Ran is the most powerful genius in the history of our Wanhua Holy Land. He has reached the peak of the great sage before he was 100 years old. I think we should give Jia Ran some leniency. That's right, Holy Lord. Besides, we still don't know who Jia Ran's Taoist partner is. If he is also a genius, I think we can give Jia Ran a chance to continue to be the holy maiden of my Wanhua Holy Land. The second elder also spoke, and after the first and second elders spoke, the third and fourth elders also spoke. Yes, it is too unfair to dethrone Jia Ran just because of this one thing. I feel the same way. We must give Jia Ran a chance. Upon hearing that the four guardian elders had all stood up, a trace of anger flashed across Emperor Murong's face. It was obvious that he had not expected that Amir So Kyoran would cause the four guardian elders to stand up. To know what a Dharma Protector Elder is, one's cultivation must reach the quasi-emperor late-stage level to be called a Dharma Protector Elder. In the Wanhua Holy Land, or in all the Holy Lands, only the Holy King Realm can become an outer sect elder, only the Supreme Realm can become an inner sect elder, and only those above the quasi-emperor late stage can become guardian elders. Among them, except for the first elder and the second elder, the other three elders are all at the late stage of quasi-emperor, while the first elder and the second elder are at the peak stage of quasi-emperor. After the five guardian elders, only the fifth elder was Murong Huang's man, so after seeing the first elder and others standing up, the fifth elder came to Murong Huang without hesitation and spoke. Everyone, we have been colleagues for so long, you should all know that the sect rules cannot be changed. Our Wanhua Holy Land has been able to remain strong for so many years because of the sect rules. I admit that So Kyoran's talent is indeed the most powerful saint in the history of our Wanhua Holy Land, but we cannot set this precedent for So Kyoran. If the sect rules are changed at will, where will the dignity of our Wanhua Holy Land be? Besides, Murong Shui's talent is only slightly worse than So Kyoran's. Letting Murong Shui become a saint is not a loss of face for our Wanhua Holy Land. As for So Kyoran, our Wanhua Holy Land will not punish her for her mistakes, but we will not let her become a saint either. I think this is the best solution at the moment. Upon hearing the fifth elder's words, the second elder immediately started cursing. Get lost, how can this be compared? Jia Ran and Murong Shui are of the same age, but one is at the peak of the great sage, and the other is at the peak of the saint. There is no comparison at all. If it were normal times, I would definitely not say anything, but now they are going to kill a good seedling, can I just sit back and watch? Anyway, I'm going to say this today. If Su Jia Ran is not a saint, then it's better not to stay in the Wanhua Holy Land. As the second elder finished speaking, everyone present was shocked. They had not expected that the second elder would go to such an extent for So Kyoran. When Emperor Murong heard this, his expression changed slightly and he spoke gloomily. Second elder, if you take back your words now, I can still pretend that I didn't hear you. What do you think our Wanhua Holy Land is? Before the second elder could speak, the first elder comforted the second elder and then spoke. Holy Lord, your treatment of So Kyoran is really inappropriate. If Kyoran's talent was ordinary, we would definitely not say anything, but even if you are Holy Lord, you are only at the saint level at Kyoran's age. And with Kyoran's talent, it is not impossible for him to lead our Wanhua Holy Land to a new peak, so my suggestion is to deal with him leniently. As for that Taoist partner, we can kill him, but the most important thing is to let Soki-Oren continue to be a disciple of our Wanhua Holy Land willingly. The moment the great elder finished speaking, he inexplicably felt a chill for some reason, but he soon stopped caring about it. He was at the peak of quasi-emperor level. In the entire profound heaven world, who else could hurt him except the Saint Lord level figures? It was just an illusion. After hearing what the great elder and others said, Emperor Murong couldn't help but ponder for a while before he spoke. If that's the case, then we can only let Soki-Oren become my direct disciple. As for the position of saint, Soki-Oren can no longer take on the position. If that's the case, then let Murong Shui become the new saint. Although the great elder and others were a little hesitant about Emperor Murong's decision, they did not reject it. After all, what they wanted was for Soki-Oren to be able to work for their Wanhua Holy Land. If a genius of this level could grow up, then their Wanhua Holy Land would be able to surpass the other 3 Holy Lands and become the strongest force in profound heaven world. Of course, they just don't know how powerful the Wu Chamber of Commerce is, otherwise they wouldn't dare to have such a strange idea. After making the decision, Emperor Murong turned around and looked at the people present, staring at Soki-Oren and spoke. Now, after discussions between this Saint Lord and the elders, we all agree that Soki-Oren is no longer suitable to be a saint, so we have decided to let Murong Shui be the saint. As for Soki-Oren, after making a decision, this Saint Lord has decided to accept her as his personal disciple. I wonder if you are willing, Soki-Oren. Chapter 47. After hearing what Emperor Murong said, the disciples present became excited and thought that this was a very unreasonable decision. After all, from the very beginning, they thought that the Wanhua Holy Land would test its disciples and Taoist companions. They were puzzled by this, but because it was the Wanhua Holy Land, they thought there must be reasons for doing so. In addition, they were afraid of the power of the Holy Land, so no one stood up. But now that this sect rule has affected Saint Su, they will naturally not sit idly by. After all, she is the saint they have recognized. Emperor Murong ignored their thoughts. They were just disciples. They would accept this matter as time went by. The most important thing now was Soki-Oren's thoughts. If Soki-Oren was willing, the second daughter could be kept. If she was not willing, she would be killed no matter what. Soki-Oren just lowered her head and remained silent for a moment, then raised her head and looked at Murong Huang and others with cold eyes, sneering. Didn't I know that you, the Holy Lord, are so hypocritical? Just because I'm married, you deprive me of the qualification to become a saint. But Murong Shui is just a mere girl. She is not as talented as me, and her appearance is not as good as mine. How can she become a saint? If this is the attitude of the Holy Land, then I don't want to. When she said this, Soki-Oren looked at Murong Huang and the others with a very determined look, and spoke without giving in. And according to her understanding of the Wanhua Holy Land, this matter is far from over. Maybe they will even kill her husband. If she had known that the people in Wanhua Holy Land were all like this, she would rather have lived with her husband in Southern Domain from the beginning. As Soki-Oren finished her words, the disciples outside shouted excitedly. Saint Su is so majestic, she is worthy of being the best saint in my mind. Come on, saint. No matter what, I have determined that you are the saint. Murong Shui is trash. If the sect is like this, then we might as well not stay in the Wanhua Holy Land. When Murong Huang and others heard Soki-Oren's answer, they became angry. How dare you, Soki-Oren? I am only following the sect rules. Not destroying you is a great blessing. Now you are not grateful and even speak outrageously. Are you looking for death? There were also saints in the history of Wanhua Holy Land who stood up to refute and secretly got married to others without the approval of Wanhua Holy Land, but the ending was without exception that their cultivation was abolished by Wanhua Holy Land and their position as saints was stripped, ending up with a miserable end. After seeing this scene, Murong Shui was also shouting desperately in her heart. Soki-Oren, please continue. I want to see you get ruined and become a disgrace to everyone. So what if you want to die? If the Holy Lord and others insist on doing so, then I, Soki-Oren, will withdraw from the 10,000 Flowers Holy Land from today. Becoming a saint was the goal that Soki-Oren set when she was first adopted by the intersect elders of the Wanhua Holy Land, and she has been moving towards this goal for all these years. It can be said that becoming a saint has become Soki-Oren's obsession, but now if she is asked to choose between becoming a saint and her husband, she also feels that the position of saint seems not so important. As Soki-Oren finished her words, everyone present was shocked. It was obvious that they did not expect Sokyoran to make such a choice. The next second, an elder stood up, came in front of Sokyoran, looked at Sokyoran with an angry face and spoke. Sokyoran, did I adopt you just to let you do something like this? Now admit your mistake to the Holy Lord and beg for their forgiveness, only then will you be spared. The one who stepped forward was the intersect elder who had previously adopted Sokyoran, Lin Tianyi, a man of supreme cultivation. But now he was extremely anxious. He raised Sokyoran, and although they were not related by blood, he had long regarded Sokyoran as his own daughter in his heart. It was naturally impossible for him to watch Sokyoran die in front of him. Thinking of this, Lin Tianyi turned around and looked at Mirong Huang and others and spoke. Holy Lord, all the guardian elders, please give me some face. Jia Ran just said such words because she was angry for a moment. Please let me take her back and calm her down for a while. After saying that, Lin Tianyi planned to take Sokyoran away from here. Sokyoran could naturally see that her adoptive father was thinking about her, so she could only let him take her away. But how could Emperor Mirong swallow this? Having suffered injustice from Wu Hao some time ago, it is naturally impossible for him to suffer injustice again now. The next second, Emperor Mirong's angry voice followed. Elder Lin, you said I'd give you a favor? Where did you get that favor from me? Do you want to let this go? Unless you agree to take this attack from me, I'll expel Sokyoran from the holy land of 10,000 flowers. Hearing this, Lin Tianyi's pupils trembled. It was obvious that he did not expect Emperor Mirong to say such a thing. You know, with Jia Ran's talent, he can at least break through to the peak of Quasi-Emperor, or it is not impossible for him to break through to the Great Emperor. Moreover, he had worked diligently in the Wanhua Holy Land for so many years, but he didn't expect that he would have no face in front of Emperor Mirong. Lin Tianyi knew that if he continued to answer Mirong Wang's words, he would surely die, but if he didn't understand, it would be Jia Ran who would die. Thinking of this, Lin Tianyi gritted his teeth, then looked at Mirong Huang and said. Holy Lord, I accept your move. Now, attack. Hearing this, Emperor Mirong's face became even gloomier. He had originally intended to ask Lin Tianyi to be more interested and stop caring about Sokyoran, but now that Lin Tianyi had said this, if he did not take action, he would be the one to be embarrassed. Thinking of this, Emperor Mirong no longer held back and directly struck out with a palm. He only used one layer of strength in this palm. Whether Lin Tianyi could survive depended on his luck. Chapter 48. Although it was only one layer of force, it was still a layer of force at the peak of Quasi-Emperor level. It was not something that Lin Tianyi, a supreme level, could withstand, so Lin Tianyi was already prepared to die. But Sokyoran was not prepared to let Lin Tianyi die, so she sighed and said. Hubby, aren't you going to do it yet? No one knew what Sokyoran meant, but the next second, they understood. A figure appeared in front of Lin Tianyi and simply stretched out his hand to make Mirong Wang's attack dissipate between heaven and earth. This scene shocked everyone present. They obviously didn't expect that someone could save Lin Tianyi in front of Emperor Mirong. After all, Emperor Mirong was furious. If someone dared to save Lin Tianyi, weren't they afraid that Emperor Mirong would be angry? Emperor Mirong was obviously angry, but after seeing Wu Hao's face, he was suddenly shocked and his body began to tremble slightly. How could he forget? He simply could not forget that 10 years ago today, Wu Hao beat him and the other 3 saints like dogs, and they had no power to fight back at all. However, the senior officials around him obviously did not notice Mirong Wang's abnormality. After seeing that someone actually blocked Mirong Wang's attack, especially the elders who usually did not get along with Lin Tianyi, they scolded him angrily. Boy, who are you? You are so bold that you dare to interfere in the affairs of our Wanhua Holy Land. Aren't you afraid that the Holy Lord will be angry and kill you here? That's right. Don't think that you are amazing just because you can block the attack of the Holy Lord. In fact, the Holy Lord only used one layer of strength. Even though you look unharmed now, you are probably seriously injured and on the verge of death. Holy Lord, I beg you to kill this official to protect the reputation of our Wanhua Holy Land. Please help, Lord, to protect the reputation of our Wanhua Holy Land. Many elders followed suit and shouted for help. But now Emperor Mirong has the idea of killing them in his heart. What about attacking Wu Hao? Where does he get the courage? The 4 Holy Lords plus Emperor Weapon are not Wu Hao's opponents, so how can he be Wu Hao's opponent now? Shut up, everyone. Emperor Murong suddenly flew into a rage, causing the elders who had just spoken to look at each other in confusion. On Wu Hao's side, Lin Tianyi saw someone rescued him, and then combined with what So Qian had just said, he turned to So Qian and asked. Chia Ran, is this your Taoist partner? Yes, master, this is my Taoist partner. Looking at Wu Hao's back, So Qian said with love in her eyes. Although Lin Tianyi didn't know what realm Wu Hao was in, judging from the fact that Wu Hao could easily withstand Murong Wang's attack, his strength should not be too low. But so what? You have to know that the Holy Lord didn't burst out with all his strength just now. In addition, the Holy Lord was holding the Emperor weapon. Unless Wu Hao was the great Emperor, he would definitely not be a match for the Holy Lord. Just when Lin Tianyi was about to plead with Murong Huang on behalf of Wu Hao, he did not expect Murong Huang to quickly come to Wu Hao. What no one expected was that when Murong Huang came to Wu Hao, he bowed to Wu Hao without saying a word. Senior, I didn't know that the Saint's Taoist partner was you. I'm sorry for offending you. If I knew that the Saint's Taoist partner was you, I would definitely not refuse. Senior, can you give me a chance in the Wanhua Holy Land? Emperor Murong lowered his head and swallowed his saliva. He knew how powerful Wu Hao was, and that was why he was even more afraid. If Wu Hao angered him because of So Qian's matter, the entire Wanhua Holy Land would probably suffer an unexpected disaster. Murong Wang's performance surprised everyone present. Obviously, although they were stupid, they could see at this moment that Murong Wang's attitude towards Wu Hao was definitely because Wu Hao was so powerful that Murong Wang did not dare to provoke him. It was definitely not that Emperor Murong was stupid enough to apologize to an unknown person. The expressions of the 5 guardian elders not far away were also extremely solemn. They could feel that there was no aura at all on Wu Hao's body. This was not something a normal person could do. At least, one had to reach the level of a great emperor. Thinking of this, the 5 guardians couldn't help but gasp. A living great emperor? You have to know that there is no living great emperor in the entire profound heaven world. Even the 4 holy lands can only challenge the great emperor with the existence of the emperor weapon. But in fact, if the great emperor appears, the 4 holy lands may not be his opponent. From this point we can see the terror of the great emperor. If the person in front of him is really the great emperor or a living great emperor, then Emperor Murong's attitude can definitely be described as extremely reasonable. The surrounding environment also became extremely quiet as Emperor Murong bowed his head to apologize, so quiet that everyone could only hear their own heartbeats. But it was obvious that Wu Hao would not let Murong Huang go easily, so he said lightly. I must forgive you just because you apologized for doing something wrong? How can such a good thing happen? How about this, since you just used a layer of force on Elder Lin, you should also take a layer of force from me now, and as long as you let this matter go, how about that? After hearing Wu Hao's words, Emperor Murong's expression became extremely ugly. After all, Wu Hao had just mentioned a layer of strength, and he and Li Teibei and the other 3 had not been able to stop it. Now, could he stop it alone? But now he had no choice. If he didn't make a choice, Wu Hao might massacre and destroy the entire Wanhua Holy Land. Thinking of this, Emperor Murong took a deep breath, looked at Wu Hao, and agreed. I promise, and I hope you can keep your promise. What Emperor Murong was thinking in his heart was that it was impossible for Wu Hao's strength to surpass the great emperor in just 10 years, and it was highly likely that there was no transformation. Although this layer of force would cause serious injuries to himself, it is still better than Wu Hao's lack of martial ethics and direct full-strength attack to kill him. Thinking of this, the next second Wu Hao and Murong Huang appeared above the Holy Land of 10,000 flowers. After Murong Huang sacrificed the Buddha's wrath lotus and made all the preparations, Wu Hao took action. Just a simple finger movement directly shattered all of Emperor Murong's preparations. Even the Emperor weapon Buddha's wrath lotus, which the entire Wanhua Holy Land was proud of, was shattered by Wu Hao's finger. That finger killed Emperor Murong in an instant. This could be considered a gift from Wu Hao to Emperor Murong, allowing him to die without any pain. After seeing this scene, everyone in the Wanhua Holy Land was extremely shocked. They did not expect that the Holy Lord could be killed by Wu Hao with just one finger even with the blessing of the Emperor weapon. Although no one knew whether Wu Hao had only used one layer of force, no one dared to ask, for fear that Wu Hao would also give them a finger. After killing Murong Huang, Wu Hao returned to So Qian, and So Qian's eyes were full of shock. It was obvious that she did not expect that her husband was so powerful. Originally, So Qian thought that Wu Hao was only at the peak of the quasi-emperor level, but now it seems that her husband has actually broken through to the legendary Great Emperor. Although she was very curious about how her husband cultivated to the level of quasi-emperor, so Kyoran gave up the idea of asking. As long as her husband was willing, he would tell her automatically. There was no need for her to ask. Chapter 49. Why, do you have any objections? Wu Hao came to So Kyoran and hugged her in his arms, then looked at the 5 guardian elders not far away. It was obvious that there was a hint of resentment in their expressions. Wu Hao killed Emperor Murong, but Emperor weapon was much more valuable than a quasi-emperor at the peak. Even Emperor weapon was destroyed by Wu Hao, which meant that the foundation of their Wanhua Holy Land was also destroyed. They might not be able to gain a foothold in the ranks of the 4 great holy lands. How could the 5 guardian elders not be angry? However, because Wu Hao was too powerful, they could only put on a forced smile. No, senior, you did a great job. We have disliked Emperor Murong for a long time. Thanks to you for killing him. Otherwise, we would have been unable to resist killing him. You better be. Wu Hao looked at them with a smile, then turned to look at Lin Tianyi and said in an extremely serious tone. Thank you, Uncle Lin, for taking care of Kyoran over the years. After saying that, Wu Hao bowed to Lin Tianyi, which made Lin Tianyi a little flattered. He quickly helped Wu Hao up and said. Fellow deist, you don't have to do this. After all these years of caring for me, Jia Ran has become my daughter. It is my duty to stand up. Hearing this, Wu Hao shook his head, and then said very seriously. This is different. If it weren't for Uncle Lin, I'm afraid I wouldn't have met my Jia Ran. I see that Wanhua Holy Land doesn't have a Holy Lord right now. How about you be the Holy Lord? This is the best reward Wu Hao can think of to give to Lin Tianyi. After becoming the Holy Lord of Wanhua Holy Land, he will use his own resources to help Lin Tianyi break through to the Quasi-Emperor or even the Great Emperor. This can be regarded as repaying Lin Tianyi for raising So Kyoran over the years. Upon hearing this, Lin Tianyi retorted subconsciously. Fellow deist. Uncle Lin, if you wish, you can just call me Wu Hao. Wu Hao said this very seriously. Seeing this, Lin Tianyi could only sigh and then said. Wu Hao, with my current strength and experience, I am not qualified to be the Holy Lord of Wanhua Holy Land. You should take back this decision. Wu Hao shook his head, he would not change what he had decided. The 5 Dharma protectors not far away were angry at first after hearing Wu Hao's words, but they soon thought of something and their eyes lit up. Yes, the current Lin Tianyi is no ordinary supreme, he has the great Emperor Wu Hao behind him. If Lin Tianyi can become the Holy Lord of Wanhua Holy Land, doesn't that mean Wu Hao will also become the backer of Wanhua Holy Land? Thinking of this, the great elder stepped forward first, looked at Lin Tianyi and said without hesitation. Elder Lin, in my opinion, you are the most suitable candidate to become the new Holy Lord of our Wanhua Holy Land. Don't be so evasive. Senior Wu must have his reasons for doing this. Yes, Elder Lin, just agree to it. No, I should call you Saint Lin now. The other elders also stood up and said that after all, the death of Emperor Murong was in exchange for the support of the Great Emperor, which was a huge profit for the Wanhua Holy Land no matter how you looked at it. Perhaps even Emperor Murong did not expect that the people of the Holy Land of 10,000 flowers would so quickly go from sadness at losing him to joy at having the support of the Great Emperor. Hearing so many people standing up, Lin Tianyi looked hesitant and turned to look at So Kyoran. Jia Ran, what do you think I should do? Master, please agree to it. So Kyoran smiled and said in Wu Hao's arms. Hearing his daughter say this, Lin Tianyi had no reason to refuse and could only nod and agree. With this, Lin Tianyi became the new Holy Lord of the Wanhua Holy Land, and Murong Xue's eyes were full of disbelief. It was obvious that she had not expected that her father would die, and the Wanhua Holy Land even had to apologize with a smile. No, I don't agree. Are you doing this to my father? He died for the Wanhua Holy Land. How can you choose a new Holy Lord so quickly? Even for my father, you should at least wait for a while before choosing a new Holy Lord. Murong Xue stood up and said with a broken attitude. But the great elder just looked at her and snorted coldly. Humph, you still have the nerve to say that. Isn't it because he offended Senior Wu? He has brought all this upon himself. And you, Senior Wu and Miss Su are both talented and beautiful, why are you standing out to mess with them? After saying this, the great elder ignored the disbelief in Murong Xue's eyes, turned around and looked at So Kyoran and spoke very seriously. Saint Su, you are the one who deserves to be the saint this time. I wonder if you are willing to become the saint of my Wanhua Holy Land again. The attitude of the great elder at this time was extremely flattering. After all, So Kyoran was not important. What was important was that So Kyoran's Taoist partner was the great emperor. If So Kyoran could become a saint, then from now on their Wanhua Holy Land would be able to become the leader of the 4 holy lands in one fell swoop. But So Kyoran no longer had the idea of becoming a saint, and shook her head. Forget it. I no longer have the idea of becoming a saint. After seeing through the true face of the Wanhua Holy Land, So Kyoran no longer had the idea of becoming a saint. Besides, her original plan was to be with Wu Hao better after becoming a saint. But now that Wu Hao has stepped forward, there is no point in becoming a saint anymore. After hearing So Kyoran's answer, the great elder was about to say something else, but he saw Wu Hao staring at him coldly, as if he dared to say anything else, he would be greeted with Wu Hao's anger. Thinking of this, the great elder could only sigh and agree. Since this is your decision, Saint Su, we respect you. But if you are tired, the door of our Wanhua Holy Land will always be open to you. And you, Mirong Shuet, because you slandered Saint Su, we will revoke your sainthood qualification, and Lin Yawan will be the saint. After hearing the words of the great elder, Mirong Shue's eyes were full of disbelief and she spoke angrily. How dare you? I am the saint of this time. I am the one with the best talent. Lin Yawan is nothing. She is not even comparable to me. Lin Yawan, who was eating watermelon nearby, couldn't help but widen her eyes. It was obvious that she couldn't accept this great joy for a while. But after he reacted, he spoke excitedly. Thank you all for your cultivation, elders. I, Lin Yawan, swear that I will do my best to be a saint and will not bring shame to our Wanhua Holy Land. Chapter 50. Even if Mirong Shui was furious, she could not change the minds of the guardian elders. After all, the incident was caused by her. Mirong Shui, because of you, I got into such a big trouble. So now I am going to abolish your cultivation and expel you from the 10,000 Flowers Holy Land. Do you have any objection? The great elder looked at Mirong Shui with a very calm expression and spoke. With just one sentence, he decided Mirong Shui's life or death. At this time, Mirong Shui also knew that the situation was hopeless. If she did not know what was good for her, she would probably be killed here. Although he was abandoned and left the Wanhua Holy Land, with his foundation here, he will be able to recover to the Saint Realm in a few days. Moreover, with his talent, he will be able to get a good position in other holy lands. Maybe he can even break through to the Quasi-Emperor and take revenge one day. Thinking of this, although Mirong Shui was extremely angry, she could only suppress the anger in her heart and nodded in agreement. The next second, the great elder took action directly, and the terrifying power of the Quasi-Emperor poured onto Mirong Shui, destroying all her cultivation, and Mirong Shui's face gradually aged. She is already over 90 years old. If she did not have a strong foundation of cultivation, she would naturally become an old person. But Mirong Shui didn't say anything. Anyway, her foundation and basis were there. As long as she was given time, she would be able to recover to the Holy Realm quickly. And she just didn't believe it. Apart from the Holy Land of 10,000 Flowers, couldn't the entire profound heaven world accommodate her? When she gets the chance, she will make everyone pay the price. She will let everyone present today know that it is not her fault, but the world's. Elders, can I leave now? Mirong Shui didn't want to stay in this sad place any longer, so she turned around and walked outside step by step. The elders present did not stop her. After all, in their opinion, Mirong Shui's crime did not deserve death, and this was already the best punishment. But just when Mirong Shui was about to leave, Wu Hao spoke. Stop! Hearing Wu Hao speak, Mirong Shui paused slightly, and then everyone present looked at Wu Hao curiously, wondering what this gentleman wanted to do. Mirong Shui also turned around slowly and looked at Wu Hao and asked respectfully. Senior Wu, do you have anything else to say? I have to say that although Mirong Shui has become an old woman now, she still looks charming because of her beauty. Mirong Shui believed that as long as her attitude was humble enough, Wu Hao would not make things too difficult for her. But Mirong Shui guessed wrong. Wu Hao would not fall for moral blackmail at all. Otherwise, he would not have been sent to profound heaven world because of helping an old lady run a red light. Looking at Mirong Shui in front of him, Wu Hao sneered and said in a cold tone. Just now we have settled the grudge between you and the Holy Land of 10,000 Flowers. Now we are settling the grudge between you and my wife. Don't you agree, wife? Wu Hao turned and looked at his wife, and So Kioran looked up, smiled and nodded. Then So Kioran looked at Mirong Shui and spoke with murderous intent in her tone. Mirong Shui, 70 years ago when I was out training, you sent people to hunt me down, but I was lucky enough to survive and meet the love of my life. Originally, I didn't intend to argue with you about this matter. After all, if it weren't for you, I might not have met my husband. But after I returned to the Holy Land of 10,000 Flowers, you insisted on courting death, and every time you sent people to target me. But I am lucky and strong, so I survived by chance. And 9 years ago in the vast secret realm, you actually sent the 3 Kawa brothers to hunt me down. If my grandson hadn't been there, I'm afraid I would have really died. The feud between you and me is an everlasting one. Unless you die today, this matter will not end. Hearing So Kioran's words, Mirong Shui's pupils suddenly shrank. It was obvious that she didn't expect So Kioran to actually tell all these things. After hearing So Kioran's words, the disciples outside seemed to remember something and their expressions changed slightly. Yes, I remember that 70 years ago, senior sister So was indeed missing for 5 years and did not come back until 5 years later. Yes, during that time, I remember that many people in the Holy Land were spreading the news that senior sister So had died outside and would never come back. It was only after senior sister So came back that the rumor was refuted. Hiss, if what senior sister So said is true, then Mirong Shui is really a vicious person. Mom is right. It's true that the more beautiful a woman is, the more likely she is to lie. Mirong Shui is so beautiful, but she still lies. It's true that women are the most vicious. Listening to the sounds around her, Mirong Shui looked at So Kioran with murderous eyes. She also realized that from the moment Wu Hao stood up, she was doomed to die today. Thinking of this, Mirong Shui looked at So Kioran, her tone full of murderous intent towards her. So Kioran, you win today, but I, Mirong Shui, will never admit defeat. If I have the chance, I will come back to find you, I will. After saying that, Mirong Shui cut her own heart veins without hesitation and died in front of everyone present. Watching this scene, So Kioran felt much happier in her heart. She didn't think she had done anything wrong. If she hadn't been more skilled, she would have been the one to die. Wu Hao's words instantly turned Mirong Shui's body into dust and disappeared. With his strength as a red dust immortal, he could naturally see that Mirong Shui was really dead, dead to the point where she couldn't die anymore and couldn't be resurrected. Okay everyone, now that everything here has been resolved, the two of us are leaving. Wu Hao held So Kioran and turned to look at the guardian elders and others, then looked at Lin Tianyi, took out a storage ring and said, Uncle Lin, there are some resources here, enough for you to break through to the peak of Quasi Emperor. If you encounter something you can't solve, then contact me. This is my authority signal. After that, Wu Hao handed the storage ring to Lin Tianyi, took out his mobile phone, added Lin Tianyi's WeChat ID and added him as a friend. Wu Hao's move was obviously to tell the guardian elders that Lin Tianyi was under his protection, and if they did not want to die, they should assist Lin Tianyi in becoming the Holy Lord. The guardians and others naturally knew what Wu Hao was thinking and couldn't help but sigh. However, the advantages definitely outweighed the disadvantages now. Although they lost an emperor weapon, they gained the support of a great emperor. Moreover, if he tries to please Wu Hao, he might be able to get a method from him to break through to become the great emperor. After finishing everything, Wu Hao hugged So Kioran and said with a smile, Honey, we're going home. Well, husband, let's go home. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.